Oh, we're live? Hey!
Hi!
Hey everyone. This is episode 1 of our new podcast.
Yeah, 2 girls, 1 gay. Am I?
Yeah. Yeah, you're the gay.
I'm the gay. That would be me.
For everyone who doesn't know us, I'm Jordan.
I'm Rio.
And we're just gonna be talking about gay shit mostly.
Yeah.
And drinking.
Which is great. Yeah,
Yeah,
cheers.
cheers.
Cheers to episode 1.
Social distancing cheers.
That makes it
And
hard.
cheers from my husband, Nate, who is our audio engineer.
Definitely not my husband. I am the gay.
Yeah.
That is not something I see in my future.
Yeah, well, it could have gone either way for me. So
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, hey,
I'm here for it.
we're here for happiness.
So I guess we're just gonna do a little bit of an intro about ourselves. Do you want to start?
I do not, but yes.
Okay.
So I'm 22. We're doing great. So far, so good.
Oh my God! Stop laughing.
That's gonna be the best part.
Right? It's gonna be the cackle in the back. Yeah. The giant male cackle in the back.
2 girls, 1 gay. Wait, there's a man?
I mean, the man could be the gay.
You never know.
I mean, he's not.
You might know.
I would know.
You'd know, but
I would
I'm
hope I would know.
I would hope so too.
But there's so many women that
you
don't.
never know. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I feel like you should have known, but like,
Right. Right.
such
All
is.
those business trips.
Does he like this in bed? I don't know.
Well, he keeps asking me to do this thing. Do all men like that?
That's a big. I wouldn't really know at all, I guess, but you know, I was with a gay friend the other day, like a gay male friend, and I was like, but how do you tell if like a guy is gay? Because like I feel like lesbians, it's like the fingers, it's like, do you have specific tattoos? Are you wearing a button up? Is there a bandana tied around your head? Like, is that like there's very specific, are you wearing bands? Like the fingernails though, I think are like the easiest one.
Well, I feel like it's harder for men now that men are encouraged to dress nicer and groom more.
That's
Because that
true.
used to be it. It's like,
Or do they talk
apparently
like,
fingernails also used to be a gay male thing. It's like, oh, look at his fingernails because manicures.
oh.
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
See, that's so interesting. I'm like, I'm pretty good. Like, my gaydar, I feel like, is pretty good. But, like, so, you know, like, seeing, like, a lesbian, I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, like,
Yeah.
you probably, or go both ways, or, like, whatever. Like, you at least think about girls' legs.
I think
But,
my-
like, with men, I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know how you could like that. So, like, that's my, like,
I'm sure gay men also feel the same way. They're like, I don't
but
know.
why does that look like an oyster? Like, yeah. That's, I feel like, this kind of shit.
It's like, do you like oysters or do you like mushrooms?
Oh my god. See, I love eating mushrooms, but like after someone was like, "Oh, by the way, it looks like that," I was like, "My omelets are ruined forever because I'll never be able to get a whole mushroom again."
I mean, it doesn't look like your average grocery store mushroom. It's like an oyster mushroom or like an Asian style mushroom.
Oh my god. That's so much worse.
But I also don't think the vaginas look like oysters.
No, but they're like lippy.
Yeah. Like
But then it depends on the vagina.
we're gonna have to put tape on his mouth.
But it does. It depends on the vagina.
It
like
really does.
The more vaginas you see, there's such a variety.
That is accurate.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's like the wonderful thing of like being a lesbian.
The wonderful
who's
world of
seen-
vaginas.
It's so great because like you're like, oh, like maybe I've slept with like one too many people, but like at the same time you're like, but I've seen like body positivity. Like everyone looks so stunning naked. Like
Every vagina is a snowflake.
oh, that's so true. Like
really
no
is.
vagina looks the same.
I actually feel the same way about dicks, though.
Oh,
Since I've had like
they all look like angry snakes to me.
roughly,
Like,
I feel like I have roughly even amount of partners,
There
and
you
so I'm
go.
like, I've seen my fair share of dicks. I've seen my fair share of vaginas.
I've also seen my fair share of dicks. This actually came up the other day because I was talking with someone about body counts and how I was like, I don't talk about it because that's gross. And And so I was like, yeah, but like in the positive way, I really know that I don't like dick because like I've seen a lot of them. But
Yeah.
they do, I feel like they do like its shapes and sizes, I
Well,
guess. I don't know.
I mean, I listened to a sex positive podcast that is co-hosted by two very straight women, and even they're like, yeah, sometimes dicks, you're just like, is that the most attractive part of a man?
I really like, what is the draw to a man? I mean, like, I mean, like, because women, right? You have like tits and ass, and like, that's great,
What, are
right?
you floating above everybody? Sorry.
I think so. There's more to look at.
Um,
But then, like, with men, I'm like, I don't, what do you look for? Like, personality, but then I also feel like.
personality.
But also, like, I feel like most men's personalities are like,
Well, definitely
but
personality.
like, there's a good amount of
like,
good men. Like, I'm gonna.
I
Like,
have to specifically shout out my husband, who has the biggest personality of anyone I have ever met.
He does have a pretty big one.
And
Oh.
I like it. He also has a pretty big one of those. Since I am attracted to both women and men, it's completely
It's on
different
the person,
attractions.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the end, it does come down to like being shallow and what you're looking for in a man, what you're looking for in a woman. And for me, it's completely different. Like, I like a very tall, muscular man, which I married.
Yeah, I
I
was like that one.
Exactly. I like a
She
beard.
was like, this will do.
I like to feel protected if I'm going to be with a man. That I
Yeah.
like a very masculine man. If
Sure.
I'm with a woman, I tend to take on more of the male roles.
You know, like the top.
Yeah, and so I tend to be the aggressor. I'm also like fairly narcissistic in the women I find attractive, in that I like them short and brunette and curvy.
And you're like, wait a minute, am I looking at a mirror? Or-
Sometimes, but like
But that's
I'm
fine.
like, you're little, and I like that. Like,
You like, let me hold you.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me just like, yeah.
I don't need to be held by a woman. I'm like, okay, that's nice.
I go either way. I think like I've been the big and the little spoon. That's like switch talk. I mean, like for everyone who's like doesn't know, like top bottom switch is like so top would be traditionally like I think a male role or someone who takes more of a dominant position in bed or outside of that, and then a bottom would be the opposite with so more of like the traditionally female
Yeah,
stereotype and-
receiving as opposed to giving.
yeah, and then a
for the most
switch would be
part.
someone who goes back and forth. And so for me, like with like the switch energy, it's like, oh yeah, like sometimes I'm like I want to be the big spoon. Sometimes I'm like I want to be the little spoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been exploring that recently, and that's been fun. And like kind of, I feel like I fit like a really certain role with my ex that I dated, and I like was very much into that for like years. And totally, I was like, I'm a bottom. Like this is fine. And like now, like I was talking to people the other day, and they're like, oh, like you give off such like soft top vibes. Like you like are very much. And I was like, well, the more like I think about it, the more I'm like,
Okay,
I'm
so
not a
soft
bottom.
top, is that like the opposite of power bottom?
No, it's like it's kind of like so a top, but like there's like a stone top is also like kind of like a touch me not top. Like
Okay.
I only kind of want to give, where like a soft top is like generally like, and like the typical tops are very much like I'm the top, like I'm gonna take the lead in this.
Yeah,
I'm
more
gonna
the
take
masculine
initiative.
energy, the
That's-
aggressor
yeah.
to it.
So the soft top is like I'm a top, but I'm also like a little bit more like chill, I guess.
You're like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, like you're a little bit more like I'm baby energy, you know,
Gotcha.
like you're like I'm a top, but also like love me, you know, like it's less like I'm a top and I'm gonna protect you and da 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 da. It's like it's a soft top.
I think it's so funny how like gay culture and gay lingo slowly but surely sneaks its way into straight culture.
I heard
Like,
about that.
You saying I'm baby, that's like a thing that is coming through in straight culture now,
Yeah,
with
that's true.
just like girls that are freaking sitting on Instagram being like, protect me, I am baby, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not for you.
like
Like,
can
we
we're
already
taking
know
it
that
back.
you're a baby.
We established this.
We already know.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see culturally. I think that can be a good thing sometimes, is that like as the cultures kind of meld, it also promotes acceptance because there's so
Definitely.
much overlap. And so I appreciate that, as like, because now it's like I think we might have been talking about how like at work for me, like sometimes it's like I have like a should I say like my girlfriend or,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
or not, and that's like, as the cultures kind of overlap, that starts being more of like, okay, like I can say like, oh, my wife eventually, or like, oh, my partner, or whatever, and see.
Yeah.
And that's also something I really appreciate that straight couples are starting to do too, is like, say like my partner, my person, instead of like being like my boyfriend, my girlfriend.
Yeah, we were definitely talking about this because I was bringing up the fact that I had coworkers that would refer to their straight partners as their partner. Like, oh, instead of saying, oh yeah, my husband, it would be my partner.
Yeah, it's more inclusive.
It also comes across less like, oh, my husband. It's my partner.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really positive for a relationship too, I think, too, because it's like they're your partner in life. And
exactly.
to me, I'm like, oh my god, that's so sweet. Or it's like, oh, you got married. Like,
right.
Thanks.
It's like, good for you. You followed the plan.
A+.
Great.
Woo.
Society must love you.
Right? Like, aren't you happy?
I always feel like I definitely use the my husband in certain situations.
Yeah, that makes
like,
sense.
Getting unwanted attention at the gym.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
husband.
oh, my husband.
Yeah. Because then it's, because I also feel like once you say like partner, husband, and wife, like imply a certain level of commitment too, where it's like, oh, my boyfriend, like I, so many times, like if I've been in a bar and like generally men, when they're hitting on me, which I'm like, how do you, and then how do you look at me and think I'm wearing like a button down, like baggy pants, like I don't know.
Well, maybe they like that.
You know, I've had people tell me before, they're like, I really like you, I guess my type is lesbians, and I was like, that's so interesting. Nate raises his hand, like,
Yeah.
woo, yeah, but pansexual, best of both worlds.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
But yeah, so that's like, I'm always like, I don't know. But so when I'm like, oh, my girlfriend, or you drop that, and they're like, oh, but like I can change your mind, like, but
Oh my
but I
God.
tried that already, and like, no, I tried that a lot, like it did not change my mind. So
That's always the best, is when I was single, I would, be on a date with a girl, and I'd go up to get drinks, and a guy would be like, oh, out for a ladies' night, and I was like, I guess I'm on a date, and they'd be like, I bet I could show you a better time. I was like,
or like, let me watch.
if I wanted to do that, I would do that, but I'm not doing that right now.
The best worst response that I've gotten is like, oh, get some, like, she's fucking hot, and you're like,
we're not bros.
Like, I don't know you, and you just tried to hit on me, like, can you not?
That's the ultimate, is the flip-flop to, you like vaginas? I like vaginas.
Let's talk about vaginas together.
You like tits too?
Oh my God. I had a straight male friend that like showed me someone's nude, and I was like, did she send that to you? And he was like, no, I got sent, like, she sent it to a guy friend. He sent it in our group chat.
Inappropriate.
I was like, first of all, rude. Like, if someone's sharing their nude body with you, they took the time to take the picture, to get naked. Like, I mean, like, those are effort. That's effort.
Yeah.
And like, if you're just sharing it, like, that's more disrespectful. I feel like it's disrespectful to that person, but also to you, because like, you're just throwing aside that effort.
I think at this point in California, that's technically assault, because that person did not consent to other people seeing them naked.
Have some people like it too.
There you go.
Not really, but like maybe.
I mean, I was so afraid of anyone sharing my nudes when I was out there, that the very first time I ever sent a full nude was when I was married for 6 months.
I never do. It's like, my problem is that I have tattoos now. I have like 16 tattoos.
So
like,
you're very recognizable.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she has a floral sleeve, and it's like not filled in. Like,
I mean,
that's me.
That could
There's a bird there.
I'd say there are probably about 1 million other lesbians just in California with that sleeve.
Hey, if you're a lesbian in California with a floral sleeve, please hit me up. Because like, fuck.
Right.
Okay, so when I cut off my hair, I realized that I became the person who I wanted to date. I was like, oh, like, this person has short brunette hair and like a tattoo sleeve and dresses kind of masculine, and I was like, wait a minute, like, these are the people I'm attracted to.
Attracted to myself.
I very much, because before I had like long blonde hair and I was super femme.
Well, you were doing the pageant thing.
That too, but like also like I just never like, I don't know. Like,
Sacramento.
It was from Sacramento. And then I had red hair for a while. I had like really, really red hair. And then my freshman year in college too, I had like red hair. It was deep red.
Everyone goes through that phase. I did the bright red.
Me
I did
too.
the auburn. My hair was auburn when I first met Nate. It was really cute.
That sounds like Auburn's a good color. I think that's what mine was. And then I bleached it to compete for a state pageant. And then I was just done with it being dead because it felt like straw. And I was like, shave it off.
Yeah.
Shave it off.
Well, so the first time I ever cut my hair super, super short, it was like my preteen crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And
I never did that.
Oh.
The shortest I went was like shoulder length in my teens, and then
I regret
college.
my haircut so much, but I'm like, good for you for cutting it off. You styled it horribly because you were 13, and why did your mother not take care of you?
Right. I mean, I feel like I definitely cut my hair as a teen on a whim. I was so mad, so I cut my hair, which is like, okay, vengeance, but like, it was pretty short for like, it was the shortest I had ever gone. And then, but when I cut my hair in college, I cut my hair and it was like a cute kind of pixie. It was like kind of halfway down my neck. And then I was like, I'm fucking done. Shave it. And I shaved the sides, and it was like to like a 1, 2, 3.
I did that.
It was almost all gone. And I was like, oh, and then it was super short for so long. And then at some point I was like, I'll grow it longer. And then now it's like here.
Do you remember when Rihanna had the like flopped over mohawk?
I do.
So I did that.
Oh my God.
I am not Rihanna.
I was gonna say that's very much like a Brianna look. Ruby. I was trying to be Ruby Rose.
The blonde.
Yeah.
At the bottom. I did that, and it was bright pink.
I had the line shaved in. Like
I didn't do
I
the
could
line.
Find where like if I went through my hair today, I feel like I could probably find like the baby hairs where the line's growing back. But no, 50 lesbian haircuts. But yeah, I feel like the line was the thing because it was shaved on one side with a fade, and then I had a line, and then I had like an over the top, and it only looked good when like my hairstylist did it because I was so like anti, like I do not do my hair, and like I can kind of now, but like because I'm an adult, but
I'm a grown up.
If I need to look like it, I will. It takes less time now, although I have really thick hair. Even though it's short, it's like super thick, so it takes a while.
I feel ya. I feel ya. I mean, I still have the like bisexual shave in the back.
I was thinking about doing like the undercut because
that's
like,
what I have.
Because I also just don't want to grow out like my neck fur, and
I mean, and in the summer it just feels so good.
Yeah.
You put your hair up in a ponytail and you got a cute little triangle.
That's so cute. Yeah, and I like that. I like the aesthetic, and I feel like it's a way to like get my like I need to have short hair out without like shaving my whole head again because I do want to have longer hair. But yeah, so I worked for Girl Scouts and also known as Gay Scouts when you're an adult. We called it Gay Scout Camp, affectionately. That's lit.
That's really cool, but it only stays that cool for like
a day.
And then
it starts growing back. For the picture.
Oh yeah,
wow, this is sure amazing.
I wish I had done a cool design for our wedding because we got married in August in Sonoma County and it was hot as balls, and so
yeah. That's hit or miss. It's either like, raining or hot as balls.
Halfway through our party, I put my hair up in a ponytail for a little bit. And I was like, man, I wish I could have just like a baller ass design.
That would have been so cool. That's pretty cool. I want to dye my hair like slate gray or like that blue gray that looks like
you gotta bleach
natural.
it again.
I do have to bleach it again. But I did go through, I bleached it with a treatment last time I bleached it. And it was, I had white blonde hair before I went brunette in like this hairstyle, and so it was like treating it and using the dye that we used, it actually went really well. And I went red to white in one day.
Whoa.
But I also did burn my scalp.
Yeah, I was about to say that'll fucking kill you. You're lucky all your hair didn't fall out.
Well, it was like a vegan product, and so it was a little bit healthier, and we used like a really intensive like hair treatment. I sat there for like an hour with like this conditioning treatment on my head after we bleached it, so it did actually go really well. But the thing was, like, I was like scabs off my scalp for like a week or two because it burned my scalp, but like it was white in a day, so So a week of suffering was like, but yeah. Anyway, I'm Rio,
Oh my god,
also
like,
known as Rhiannon.
wait, the tangent.
I'm 22. I was Miss Sonoma County. I was the first openly gay Miss Sonoma County, which you know. And that was cool.
I pulled it up earlier.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
we
and I was
saw.
like, my face.
You're like, oh, news articles.
Like, black. I am. You can find me on Google. That's a weird thing.
That is a
to
weird
have,
thing.
Is that people can aggressively find me. I am very present.
I know about you.
Yeah. So my sorority just did senior send-offs, and it was like I got most likely to be famous, and I was like, well, I kind of already am, so not really.
Local
But-
famous.
Local famous.
Fuck
Just
yeah,
gotta
you're
shoot
famous.
higher.
Are you kidding me?
A
Oh
little
my
bit.
god, you're not part of this.
Okay. She said, kick him out. It's ladies' night.
I mean, to be fair, like, part
We're
of
on a date.
do you know he knows how long it has been since I had actual friends?
Yeah. Well, we're friends, so that's
Exactly. I have a friend again. Oh my god.
like bless. But yeah, that's my backstory. That's like what's relevant to me. I'm an
Yeah.
art student, which makes sense.
You're in school right now. Don't try and
Uh.
find her. That's weird.
No. Although you know where I live already. Please don't try to find me. It always makes me feel weird. So we were talking about TikTok, the
Mhm.
quarantine TikTok, and so I went viral on TikTok. I'm now at
What?
200,000 views,
Dang.
which kind of scares me that people have seen my face 200,000 times. And it makes me feel weird when people in my life are like, I found your TikTok. I'm like, first of all, are you fucking gay? Because gay TikTok and straight TikTok are very separate.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But
'Cause
yeah.
I am old and I am not on TikTok.
Oh yeah, well it's like because the way the algorithm works is it's like what you like and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the second I like a straight person's video though, I start getting straight TikToks. I'm like, get out. Like I only want to
I
see lesbians.
Heard
Thank
about
you.
that.
Well, TikTok shadow bans too. So I'm getting shadow bans because my video went so viral, and then I had one that like was getting there and then like dropped off on views, and I was like, oh, because like that's like a thing, and it sucks, but it's also fun. And I mean, like once you find the niche with
you gotta
TikTok,
find your community.
yeah, and I think that's really cool. Like there's a bunch of different like micro communities, and there's like an
Mhm.
art community. So I generally get like gays in art, and that's my life, and I love that. But so that's great. But that's pretty much me, I guess.
There you go.
But yeah, that's like the same thing as like podcasts. Like don't find me in real life. Like if you find my TikTok, don't talk to me about it because I know it's cringy. Like
right.
I've seen my face. I know.
Oh.
It's like it sometimes it makes me feel weird though because like people will comment things that they would never say to you in person on the internet.
I feel that so
Yeah.
hard. I don't get it on my normal Instagram, but on like my fitness Instagram.
People are like,
Hi
creepy?
girl, looking good. Hit me up if you want to do a workout together. And I'm like, ew.
you're like, why would you? I want to see anyone sweaty first of all. Like,
Right?
why would I want to see anyone? Like like that's the beginning of the workout is the videos that are posted, not the end.
Oh, I've
generally.
had to start in my stories. I have started putting my left hand up to like, I don't know, like, thinking about things. Look at this rock on my hand. Please don't try and hit on me.
Yeah, right. I had a friend. I have a straight female friend who's in a sorority, and she's like, oh, or she's not. Her boyfriend's in a fraternity, but she'll go to frat parties, and she's like, she has a promise ring on, or some sort of ring on her like middle finger, and she'll move it to her ring finger, I think, on her right hand, and she's always like, oh, I'm engaged, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. But we can also talk about the concept of like the fact that you have
Nate's showing off what bottle we're drinking. He thinks this is our
do I
other
need to, like-
podcast. Thank you, honey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But no, yeah, I think that it's interesting that like you have to be taken by a man for like creepy men to not hit on you. Like not to be fair, like statistically, the amount of people that I see get hit on or like I've been hit on by, like out of all the men I see, it's probably like 1 in 50, honestly, going out to a bar in a night. And it usually happens every time I go out, but I do see a lot of men. So statistically, it is pretty low. And so, because I don't want to be like a man hater, but I don't want to be a man hating lesbian because that's definitely my MO, but not today. And so,
Not all men.
not all men.
Literally, it's the only time you're ever going to hear a lesbian say not all men.
Yeah, I mean, like, some of you are great, thanks, but not my type still. But like, but yeah, but like, I always feel like if I say like I have a girlfriend, it's like let me join. But if I say like, sometimes I say I have a boyfriend, which is so funny to me. But I'm like, oh, like my boyfriend, and they're like, oh, like, dude, I'm sorry, like, you know, or even saying my fiance, like when I wasn't engaged, I'm a little.
Oh.
But like even saying that because they assume it's like a man and they'll like back off when
Yeah,
they think that you
because
belong to.
Can't hear the spelling of it in your words.
I'm like fiance with an extra E. But yeah, anyway, that's me. That's my life.
I'm Jordan. You might have heard me on my other podcast that I have with Nate, who you can't see on camera right now, and he is being mostly silent.
The cackle. He's the male cackle.
Thinks and Drinks. And or you might not know me at all. You might have found us because of gay algorithm or anything.
Love
but
that.
I'm 30, married, have been for a year and a half, going on 2, which is
Congratulations.
pretty cool. We made it this far. Haven't gotten pregnant yet. Suck it, Nate's family. Sorry. I know that there was we didn't tell you there was some bets.
A bet on if you would get pregnant within the first year?
Well, we got engaged very quickly and moved in even quicker.
Well, okay, that's a fair assumption, but you had a long engagement too,
We had
so
a
I feel like
very long engagement.
I feel like that is a fair assumption.
But then once we made it to 9 months of marriage and I still wasn't pregnant, people were like, "Oh, this might actually stick."
Well, I mean, like, I feel like now it is, like, a very much a thing that, like, people who get pregnant just get married. And it's like, hey, you guys don't have to do that. Hey, straight people.
Hey, straight people.
You don't have to, I promise. Like, if you don't think it's going to work
PSA
out,
from
it
Auntie
won't.
Rio.
Yeah, like, don't traumatize your children. Just, like, you know, like, don't try. If you know it's not going to work, it's probably not going to work. Don't try.
Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you have to get married, and just because you're married doesn't mean you have to get pregnant.
If you're committed to, like, making it work, then that's cool. You do you. But, like,
literally get married because you love each other.
Honestly,
and
yeah.
don't forget that it's also, like...
Safe sex is fun. We encourage safe sex here.
And don't forget that marriage is also, like, a legal thing, and there is always going to be that behind it. Exactly. That it's not just, hey, we fell out of love, and now we can go our separate ways. It'd be wonderful if it was. Do you not like the wine?
Oh, it's just sweeter. I was like, thrown off. I was like, whoa. Like, does this taste like sugar? I work in a winery and I'm a wine snob, so
compared to
that
the
is
Sauvignon
important.
Blanc for sure.
Yeah, it was very tart. Yes. See, this is the wine snob. It's like
I know. We went backwards. Start off sweeter, go drier if you're gonna do that.
probably. This isn't super sweet, but it's on the sweet side.
That's because it's more commercial.
Yeah,
It's
I
Vogel.
mean, that's generally what people. Anyway,
I know
my wine.
we're
I'm
gonna be
get
talking
off
about
my
wine a lot
soapbox.
in this podcast. So if you don't like booze,
I'm sorry.
sorry. Learn to like it.
Or don't.
Yeah. But we're
And
gonna be
just
talking
ignore
about it.
I'm sorry.
We're-
Skip forward 30 seconds.
I mean, we're both wine nerds. It's gonna come
we
up.
both have worked in wine, so that's like we're gonna be like, oh,
And we live in wine country.
we do.
Yeah.
Don't find me. I'm
Don't
still in school.
don't find me either. I'm a little bit more difficult to find for sure.
I'm
but-
on the internet.
Yay!
But yeah, that's I don't know. So Things and Drinks was also how we met
yes.
and became friends actually,
Like
which is
within
great.
a night.
Within a night, just within a podcast that was failed to be documented.
Never
which
released.
Could be a good thing.
I think the second time you were on Things and Drinks was a lot more successful because we already had a
Established
natural rapport.
relationship,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even though I did get hammered at the end of it.
baby can't shoot whiskey.
To be fair, we had also been drinking all day, and then you came over.
Right, and we were like,
So
"Let's
I
do
was
it."
already tipsy, and then I started drinking
Oh.
straight whiskey.
Yeah, I'm a whiskey gal. I like wine and whiskey. That's my thing. I feel like I should like tagline that in like Instagram or something.
I think
like
you
that should be my
should.
bio.
That's
Wine and
gonna
whiskey.
be your new
If I ever do dating profiles.
followable
That's
tag.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean like hashtag wine and whiskey.
Hashtag wine and whiskey.
Hashtag 2 girls, 1 gay. Hashtag wine and whiskey. Yeah, but no, I do. I like wine and whiskey, and that's always surprising to people. And I like red wine. I don't usually do white rosé.
But
Like
it's warm.
it's easier to drink too, especially when it's hot in California.
And we don't get purple teeth on camera.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wine and the whiskey. But yeah, that's what.
I mean, to be fair, I like it all. I like wine,
I like
beer.
booze, but I have my favorites. I'm a little bit snobby.
So generally when I go out and I order something, it's either going to be wine or gin.
Gin always like to me it either tastes like
Christmas trees.
okay or hangover.
See,
And like I don't get hungover because I'm young.
this is going to be the first of the times that I say it, but definitely not the last. When I was your age.
That's gonna be like that's also gonna be a hashtag.
Oh, 100%.
when
but
I was
no.
your age.
When I was your age,
22.
I hated gin. I thought it tasted like Christmas trees. I thought it was gross.
It's okay. I just can't like do it straight. Is my thing. I can't do anything
Yeah.
straight, but
That's the only thing.
in the gay way, not in the I shoot whiskey.
But gin martinis are my shit.
They're pretty
And
good.
I don't know if it's also because like I turned 30
Well,
last year and now I'm
we had
old.
martinis. and
Yeah.
those are pretty good.
We did
Yeah.
on that first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remembered that shit.
Was that I feel like was it the first podcast or was
Or
it
no,
like
I think
a
it was just
casual
a
time that
hangout.
I
I think
came over
that
and
we
you're like,
went-
"Do you like martinis?" And I was like, "Sure."
Sure, I'll drink anything. Is it free?
Yeah, basically. And that's on me at a college student. Well, I was
mean-
talking about it with a friend. Like, when you're illegally drinking, when you're under 21 and you're drinking, please don't drink if you're under 21 for legal reasons. But like when you're under
We
21,
don't endorse it.
When you're under 21 and you're drinking, you drink it. Like if the opportunity is presented, no matter
You
what
drink
it is,
it.
you drink it because you don't know. I was talking to a friend about that recently because I was like, after 21, like I'm like I can buy my own stuff. I know what I like. Like I don't care if I don't feel like getting drunk, I'm not gonna get drunk. But like when I only started drinking when I was right before 21, which is I feel like pretty good. But I was like, I was like 20 and a half, and like, so then it was like if an opportunity was presented, it would be taken. Like I'd be like, I
Mhm.
don't really want to drink, but it's here.
That's fair.
But I also, to be fair, was dating someone older than me for a very long time. Like getting into college, like we
Mhm.
started dating. It's the same,
Yeah.
but like we started dating, and then she was older than 21 at the time, so it was like we drank, and so it was like very accessible if I wanted to. But at the same time, it was like, meh.
I mean, definitely not even a similar story, but because I went a different route and I started working like right out of high school. I did community college. I went to like 3 different community colleges, and
Which ones did you?
Um,
We can actually talk about that later, so
right?
you can't be stalked. But
right. I went to 2 different community colleges, and then I went to Academy of Art in San Francisco.
we did talk about that because I also got in there.
And I have only finished 1 complete semester of college in my life, and that was when I was living in Citrus Heights, so it was around there. And after that, I just went, you know what? I'm fucking burnt out from school. I've been in school forever. I graduated when I was 17, and so I went immediately back into school.
That is the worst.
I didn't even get to be an adult
Right.
outside of school.
That's hard. That's what, like, so now because I've gotten into this program that
Mhm.
I could extend a year of college, and every time someone talks about college or like picking classes, I'm like, like, do I want to keep doing this? And like we talked about, like I want to get my master's, but like
Yes.
that would also be more school. There'd be 3 more years of school at bare minimum, and so that's like I want to, but it's also like the school thing. Like, do I want to function
Well-
as an adult for a little while and just like say like, hey, like
Like,
I'm gonna be an adult.
take a break here between
The thing-
finishing one degree and going on to another one.
Pretty much. The problem with that in my like program is that like instead of being a BA, it's a BFA. And so
Mhm.
it would be like if I took a semester off, it would be I wouldn't have a degree per se.
That's fair.
And so that's where I'm like, ooh.
I mean,
Like do I want to and then it's like do I want to work full time because either way, so I'm going to pay for my college and I'm going
Mhm.
to have to work full time. But so either way I would probably be able to get like the same positions with experience and with my availability and with just like not having a degree. It would be like, oh, like and so I was a server for a while and I would want to go back into waitressing, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would be the best way to do like money again.
yeah. Well, the great thing about serving is you can make just as much in a 4-hour shift as you can
Mhm.
in an 8-hour shift if you're just being paid hourly, as long as you're getting the tips.
Yeah, and when I was serving, I was pretty good in it, I guess. But like I don't know, I have a pretty good memory when I need to, so it's like or I have a pretty good short-term memory, like long-term no, but short-term's great. And so I was pretty good at it at the time. So I was making like a decent amount of money and like the only reason I stopped was because like sexual harassment and all that.
Ooh.
We love that. And so I miss my job. But like also like I don't want to see that coworker again. But like
Fair.
but working hourly and like we got tips fairly or a while I guess after I started. But
Mhm.
and so that kind of helps, but it's like you know, like at least like serving, you kind of know that generally you're always going to get a tip
There you go.
unless
I mean,
they're real sucky. If you're listening to this, please tip your servers.
oh,
they do work
yes.
hard.
And currently, since we are in, stay-at-home procedures and all that good stuff, if you're ordering in from your favorite restaurants, please tip your delivery drivers way more than you normally would.
That's been the worst, especially so still working in a winery and like working every couple weeks or so, once every month. It's been
For like pickups and stuff.
yeah, it's like if you slip me a tip, like that's fine with me. Or if you're like
Mhm.
ordering online, you say like, hey, leave yourself a tip.
Well, also, this is specific to anyone who is going to wine country or anywhere touristy.
Mhm.
I know that you don't normally tip, but please tip because you're still being provided a service. Think
Oh,
about
yeah.
if you're going out to buy a glass of wine, that is still going to cost you $10 to $15 your tasting fee. You're tipping your waitress and they are not spending nearly as much time as with you as your tasting host.
That is super important. That's always like a pet peeve of mine is because
Well, there's no tip line
sometimes
ever.
a lot of times no. It
Yeah.
depends on the place. But the places that pay you enough, I feel like that's fine. But like I get paid
You're
an
still
amount.
you're still providing a service.
And
Like,
knowledge
think
and like
about-
that sort of thing. Like you're giving them one-on-one, and part of it is a sales strategy.
Yeah.
But like whether or not you buy, like you still got that service. And if
Mhm.
you
And
buy, like that means that you
they are
liked
serving
them.
you.
Yeah, you like them, or you like the wine, you like the
Mhm.
knowledge enough. You liked your
Yeah.
experience because like it's easy to go to a store and buy wine,
Yeah.
or you could go to a tasting room and like or vacation to Sonoma. If you're in a bachelorette party, just automatically tip 20% or more
Yes.
because you suck. Like I love you all, but like you suck. The amount
100%.
seeing a bachelorette party like actually makes my soul sink. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get married.
Oh my god.
Because like I can't have that many women together anymore. Because if it's like 4+, I'm like, oh no, like they're coming to rip my soul out.
you know they're going to ignore you and pound the wine and talk very loudly and interrupt everyone else.
The best thing, well, I think for me, it's like, oh, I think that should be a mandatory tip.
Yeah.
Like if you're coming in a bridal party, I don't want to see you. Like I have people that are gonna pay me more money to pay attention to them in the tasting room. Right now, I put you outside for a reason. Like
I have worked at some places where if
it's like A+ is
Yeah.
mandatory tip.
8+ is mandatory tip,
I
or
think that should be like in restaurants and everywhere, like anywhere that you have a group
Yeah.
A+, it should be a mandatory tip
100.
because it gets difficult to talk to that many people. Like even if everyone is like, oh, like we're just a bunch of people who are going out, and like I've had people
4 couples.
yeah, like I've had
That's
people
still
that have
8
come
people.
together, like we knew each other in high school and we're coming back together
Yes.
to have our yearly, and that's fine, but like also it's like I'm dedicating a lot more time to you as a group than
and
I
it
can to anyone else.
Doesn't matter with
But even if I'm
age.
just like pouring wine, it
Yeah.
takes longer to pour for like 8 people than it does for the 2 couples at the bar. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter with age if they're younger, older. I've had when I was working.
You can be an asshole no matter what your
Oh
age.
my
It's
God.
very impressive.
I was working at a very well-known sparkling place in Healdsburg. If you know your wine, you probably know what I'm talking about. But
I do like their wine.
10 a.m. we had a reservation for a group of 6, and we went, okay, they're probably going to be 8, so let's just count on that.
Assume for that.
Since it was a
Please.
reservation.
It's always like, I don't have that heart-sinking feeling when you're like 14 to like 8, but when it's like 8 to 14, that's a
Woof.
different feeling. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's fine if you're going down. If you're going down, you please call though. Like that's always
Yes.
nice to if you call.
So we
and
don't
you're
have
like,
to
hey,
set up
this
the
reservation
glassware.
changed. Yeah, exactly. And then, but if you're going up, definitely call. If you don't call, first of all, I don't like you.
Oh, 100.
Just
Don't do that.
Don't come to my winery. I don't like you. Do come to my winery.
Sorry
but-
about the lighting, everyone.
It's funky.
We got our
It's
we
okay.
got our ring light on. No, don't do
It's
the
cute.
colors.
We
What
gotta
are
do
you
white
doing?
light. I don't need to steal those glasses.
There we go.
But yeah, but like going up in size is like just call. Like if you call,
Yes.
we can accommodate if you have a reservation. But if it's
Even
going
if
down
you just change by 1.
honestly, but going down by 1 is, I feel like, fine. Like we're like, oh, hallelujah, like bless the Lord, like. And don't make a reservation if it says like 8+ mandatory tip. Like don't make a reservation for 7 when you mean 12, because like we're gonna charge you the same.
Yeah.
So like not telling us,
You're not going to
just-
get around it.
It just makes us angrier. And so for me, if you like annoy me, I'm giving you a tiny pour where I'll give you more of a generous pour. And that's, I think, everyone who I've known who's worked in wine, unless it's like literally mandated and your manager's standing over you, like will give you a generous pour if you're a decent person. But if
we
don't
like you, then it's like,
sure, drink my wine.
yeah, because then you're probably going to buy more, and I like you as a person, so there you go.
Yeah, that's
But,
powerful.
okay, so this group.
Yeah.
They showed
Please.
up at,
Did they have 8 people?
they had 8 people.
Mm-hmm.
It was 4 couples.
Yes.
All
There.
between 45 and 55. They showed up in a limo.
I'm not gonna lie, if that's the age range, I'm like, oh, you're not gonna tip me.
Oh, I was fine with it. I was like, okay, cool. They actually might buy like a good amount of wine because they can afford it.
It's hit or
Especially if they
miss.
show up in a limo.
Well, for me, it's like
But
the way I'm paid though. I'm like, if you don't tip me, I don't care.
fair.
Won't you buy? Because like I'm
Yeah,
making the same.
You're
amount
not
of
making
money.
by commission.
Yeah, I need to go corporate. If you're
Um,
my boss and you're listening
also-
to this, I did not say that.
Also-
I love my job.
for people who go out tasting, it is, if you like the person who is pouring your wine,
You can't give them more money.
it is not rude to ask if you work by commission.
No, it's really not.
It's not rude. If you don't feel like buying a bottle, definitely tip. But if you're already going to buy a bottle,
Maybe buy 2.
yeah, and just ask, hey, do you work by commission? Because if the person does, which is decently rare in wine, decently rare.
It depends on.
I'd say about 25% of wineries.
corporate.
No, in general. And I'm not talking about wine club commission. I'm talking about bottles of wine commission.
Usually places do wine club commission, but
Yes.
also by place it depends on if they do commission for the sign up or
Mhm.
for the shipment. Because I
Yes.
have a friend coworker who works like once a month at this winery because they do commission for every sale that you make if you sold the wine club. So he's like, oh, I
Ooh.
work here very occasionally because every time they accept their shipment or while they're not canceling, like I'm getting money.
That's
and
rare.
It's super rare. I should probably find out.
Yeah.
But that's like a thing. But yeah, by commission is super rare.
It's rare.
But if they work by commission, buy more and that does more for them. And also,
like, if you like the wine,
yeah,
just buy more of it.
we know when our wine's good and when it's not.
Exactly.
Like, if you work for a winery, you know.
And even if you drop like a 5 at the end of the tasting, your host is going to be
low-key,
so incredible.
Cry over 5s. I'm like,
like,
you gave me $5.
Yep.
You liked me.
Mm-hmm.
It makes my day. $5 bills. Oh, I'm like getting emotional thinking.
Right. I'm thinking back on my time, and I'm like,
one time someone tipped me like the party. It was 3 couples, 6 people, and they tipped me together $40 in cash, and then someone bought wine and they tipped too. And I was like two $20 bills, and I was like at the end of my shift like bawling. I was like, thank you so much.
yeah.
I'm glad that you liked my company.
I've worked for companies that pool tips, which I don't think is fair.
I do. We pool.
I don't think that's fair.
I think it depends on the day. Personally, I mean,
I think it depends on the people you're working with specifically, because
it depends on the effort.
Well,
generally for me,
we also pulled tips with the shift leads who had paperwork to do in the back, and I'm like, I understand that you don't have
if you're
the
back
opportunity
office,
to come out and sell the clubs, even though technically you're front facing. I'm sorry about that, but you also get paid more hourly than I do.
That's where I think, like, so for us, it's like a rule that, like, if you're at whatever level, like, I think it's management level, you can't accept tips. And so that's where I'm like, yeah, that's valid, because you're in the back of house and you make so much more money than me that like it's not like at least twice the amount.
Shift leads, that's in a weird middle ground where they are mostly forward facing.
On the shift. Because if you're
I agree.
back of house that whole shift and you're making more money and you're not like helping me, because that's where I think pooling tips is fair. Because if I have a group of like 8 and you're dealing with 2 people at the bar, and so I'm not alone basically, or like you're cleaning the glasses and I'm dealing with this couple, or or even I've had shifts where like you started with these people, but I took over
because of a lunch or a break, or
because they vibed with me better, and now I'm selling more.
And
then it's a pool tip.
Then you should pool the tips.
That's why I'm like effort wise, and I think that does apply for like shift leads too, because if you're in back of house the whole shift, then like don't take my money because you make more than me and you didn't help me at all. And I've had that where like there's been so much paperwork behind that, like I'm alone, I have a full bar, and it's like that's something that once you get into like your work, like you can generally handle that. But like at the same time, it's like it would be nice to be like, this is a really needy group, which like if there are groups that are needy and groups that are not, that's like a thing.
100.
But like if you have like a needy group and like you're not getting assistance with it, that's
you deal with,
or if you have 2 needy groups and you have a bar of 5 groups, like that's where it's like, okay, like I need to split my attention, but like these 2 groups need more attention. I try to group them together, I'm not gonna lie, because then they talk together and it's great.
I've done that so many times. Back to this crazy ass story.
Yeah, please.
Sorry.
So side note,
it's totally fine.
Working in wine, this is gonna become a working in wine pod.
Right,
we should start another pod.
It's gonna be art, working in wine, and just random gay
queer.
shit. Yeah.
Queer people are people too. We have normal interests. We work in wine.
We work in wine.
But not even really.
And also childcare. There's like a ton of queer people who work in childcare.
Are you gonna set me up? Because like
anyways,
that's gonna be a bit.
Okay. So this is one of my all-time favorite stories, just because how fucking wacky it is.
So the 8 people that show up.
So they show up
late.
About 10 minutes late.
Which is still late.
Yeah.
I'm expecting you at 9. Please be there at 9.
Working in a large winery, you're like, okay, anything before like our next reservation groups comes in, we can handle.
Well, the worst part is like when you have like a 9 and a 9:30 and they like come at 9:20 and then the next group comes on time.
And they expect or early.
Usually they come 5 minutes before.
Right?
And
yes.
you're like, I just got this group that was supposed to be here 25 minutes ago, and now you're here too. That's when you're like, ma'am, sir, let me get you some glasses, and then like I'm just gonna let you sip on the first pour, and then I'm gonna get you to your table. If you just give me 1 second, I'm so sorry.
Well, I was working at the bar.
Yes.
So they didn't even like upgrade to a table or anything that you would expect a larger, older group to do that shows up in a limo. They were doing a bar
we know that you can
tasting.
afford.
I mean, to be fair, bar tastings were still like $20 a person.
Yeah, that's
And
the
you had
perk
to buy
working in the industry though.
At least 3 bottles to comp.
Ours is 2.
Large winery. And
That's fair though.
Yeah.
I think it's better because that does encourage, because sometimes your wine is less than the tasting fee.
yeah,
Not your guys's?
well,
Well, ours
We
for some
had-
of them is.
we had a couple of bottles that are not normally on the tasting that
Oh yeah.
you could sneak under,
So
like
I know friends. I have
like a
friends that work
Pinot
there.
Gris or their rosé, just the
Which
still
are both
rosé.
Good wines.
They're good. They're good everyday drinkers.
Yeah, the wine at that winery is also it's good.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, but it's
But
also like
It's
a big
expensive
winery.
for a reason because it's good.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of times, like not always price lines up, but like sometimes.
I mean, it's also they're known for their sparkling wine,
so they're gonna be
champagne
up a
style.
bit.
It's gonna be
It's nice. They're nice wines.
yes, and the tasting room is freaking gorgeous.
Yeah,
Stunning.
I'm almost positive that we're talking about the same one.
Yeah.
I've been like,
Yeah. So
So they showed up
They
late.
showed up 10 minutes late
with two
with
extra
two
people.
extra people,
They
and
didn't upgrade to
I-
a table.
okay,
But at that point, you're
sure.
spending the same amount of money.
that's great. You guys are
Sure, we can accommodate.
This is great.
Your eyes twitching.
But-
You're like, we can do that.
okay. So it's a tasting of 5 wines. We get through the first 2, and suddenly all of the men disappear back to the limo, and all of the ladies are just chatting. And I'm pouring
That's
the next
fine.
wine, and I go,
Are
Are
they gonna come back?
should I pour for
Your
your husbands? Because at that point we had established everyone was wearing
Relationship.
fancy rings and
the ones that you're like,
Like,
do you whack things? with
wearing, the men were all wearing like very nice button downs and Italian loafers. The ladies
that?
all
I don't
had
even know
like
how to tell that.
giant rocks on their fingers, and I was like,
That kind of scares me because I'm like, what if
Okay.
it breaks? I know they don't, but like, what if
Right.
you just whack it? Like,
right?
I'm really
what
clumsy.
if I hurt someone?
I
with
want
it?
it. But I'm also. I feel like we're art people, so I'm like, I need it to be
Mhm.
small because I need to exist in my daily life with it.
Fair.
I'm like wearing rings.
So I'm
now.
asking, should I pour for them? Oh yeah, they'll be right back.
Mm.
5 minutes later, all of the men show back up, reeking of weed, and going like this. And I was like, oh shit, they just did
no.
bumps in the limo at 10:30 in the morning.
That
And
you scare
then-
me if you come in right when we open. Like
And then
that actually makes me afraid.
The
unless you
ladies
say
all
I'm in the
disappeared into the
industry.
bathroom. And I went, okay, it's normal if like 1 or 2 break off to go to the bathroom.
Usually it's 2.
They
I feel like
all-
in a pack it's 2.
4 women all go to the bathroom at
4
once,
is weird.
leaving the men who are now getting increasingly loud and boisterous. And I was like, fuck, these coked up dudes
Yeah.
are now hitting on me because their wives just went to the bathroom all together. And I was
older. That's like
I was like
worse.
24. I was 24.
I feel like the younger you are, at the like 21 is the creepiest,
So I was
and then like you get
24
slightly less creepy.
and
from
I have
there.
a baby face.
You do.
Yeah.
No offense.
So, oh no.
We've discussed this in
You know what?
the button knows.
I'm very okay with it because I'll be 50 and I'll look like I'm 35.
That's what I think when people like someone. I was hanging out with a group of people before quarantine, and
Before quarantine, everyone.
and so the and they were like, oh, like I was on the older half of the group, which was very weird at 22 to be on the older half of the group, but they were like 18-year-olds. And so I was like, and they were like, oh yeah, if like these people weren't here, like we would assume you were the youngest, and I was like older. I think I was the second oldest. Like the first oldest was 24. I'm 22. Everyone else was younger. And so, but like also 22, but like a couple months younger. But like so that was like we would think you were the youngest, and I kind of got offended. But then I was like, but when I'm like old, everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're 30. I'm gonna be like, I'm 60.
Right.
Get
Oh my
wrecked.
god, that is. Yep, I'm very okay with
That's
it
what
now.
I'm
I
looking
used to
forward
get
to.
offended when I was like, when I first turned 21.
I don't care.
And
yeah.
I was like,
I work for a winery. And
everyone
I'm like,
thinks
I would
I'm
card
a
me.
baby. I remember when I turned 18 and I was still living at home, and so
You could buy nicotine then.
okay, so what I did is I didn't have a car, so I walked to my neighborhood 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna buy a porno mag, I'm gonna buy some cigarettes, and I don't care about either of those things, but I can do it. So
I
I'm
bought
going to
a
do
lottery
it.
card. Lottery thing.
Yeah, I didn't do
I
that
didn't
because
care
I
about
was
that.
like, gambling is stupid.
You're like, but porno
But
mags
porn
and
mags
cigarettes.
and cigarettes.
It would have been cheaper for you if you
I was also like hanging out with what I now fondly term as my party
Here,
crew.
click that. I want to know. Best wineries to work at. Oh.
Wait, I need to finish the story. Okay.
Yeah.
So
The
all
old people who did coke and then the ladies disappeared. The guys were hitting on
the
you. Please
dudes were like
continue.
aggressively hitting on me and being like,
not like subtle hitting on you.
No,
but,
it
like, I'm
was
hitting
like,
on you, hitting on you.
hey, what are you doing after your shift gets out? And I was like, you guys are gonna be asleep.
Going home.
But I
Thank
was
you
just like,
next.
oh, well, I'm probably gonna go home to hang out with my roommate and my cats.
I'm gay.
And then the ladies all came out of the bathroom.
They're all like leaning like this,
And
and you're like, and then
they're all sniffing, and
Oh my
so they went into powdered
no.
their noses.
no,
And then
that hurts.
it got very loud on my corner of the bar because I had slowly but surely moved them to a corner. I was like, you cannot be in the middle of a bar. You're going to be on the corner and you can take over this whole area.
That is wine.
Have
That's
it.
like an I pour wine solution. I was
Yes.
talking to a friend today about how like when you work in
Ooh.
wine, like whether you realize it or not, you start watching how much people drink.
100.
Like I was with friends and I was with a friend and counting the drinks and I was like I was drinking too. And I was like, damn it, like this is so far in me now that like I know, because you also have to know when to like cut someone off. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately that does happen. Like
And
please don't make us do that. We don't like doing that.
It is laws.
It's uncomfortable for you and me.
We also, like, if you're friends with us, we will be like, hey, you can't put your head on a bar. They're going to think that
You're
they have to cut you
drunk.
off. I know you're just, like, sleepy, but legally,
That is
Like,
a
okay,
moment
so
for us. Well,
there
the
have been
thing is, like,
times where I'm
you can
out.
get in huge legal trouble
Yes.
if you're the poorer.
There have
And
been
a
times
lot of
where,
times they'll throw you under the bus.
yeah, I'm out with Nate, and he has really bad light sensitivity. And so if a place has really bright lighting, he will close his eyes and he will put his head on the bar. And I immediately tap his elbow and go, honey, you cannot put your head on the bar because they will think you're drunk and they will kick us out.
Yeah,
It
that
is a
the thing.
legal thing.
Well, you can get like I've had people. I've only cut off people a couple times, but it is
that
like
was my job at my last job, and I
Yeah.
loved it.
I'm not gonna lie, I really like doing it,
Oh,
but
it's my
it always makes me a little bit nervous.
It's
It's just the reaction.
I've gotten a
Have you
guy
had
who literally
threats?
swung at his girlfriend in the tasting room because she was also drunk, by the way. He was
Gone, but she was drunk.
gone. She was drunk. They were Ubering, which was his and her excuse. And I went, I'm sorry, I legally cannot serve you anymore.
Yeah.
And she goes, honey, let's just leave. Like, she was kind
She
of
was like,
throwing me
okay.
under the bus a little bit. She was like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because I was just
But
like,
also,
I'm not
don't
going to
mind
charge
that
you.
as
Just
much.
leave.
Yeah.
And
Because at a certain
He-
point, it becomes like safety over
he was
money.
so far gone that as soon as she put her hand on his shoulder and was like, she's just being a dumb bitch. Let's just leave. And he went, you're taking her side. And swung at her. And we went, oh, yeah, that's not going to work for us.
Did you call the police?
We had on-site security.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. A big
And so-
winery. Big winery.
Big winery.
Tap me in.
I mean, I gave you all the info you need.
I know. I'm very excited.
Again, we're not
I've been applying.
we're not naming names here right now.
But we know what we're talking
But we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's... calling the police on someone is, like, something else. I feel like it makes me feel
I've only
very
done
uncomfy.
that. I've
Like-
only done it once.
It's just, like, when it gets unsafe for the people in the bar and for you, like, then it's
Well-
like, okay, you're gonna go. I'm sorry. If you're not leaving, then I will call the police.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes like, okay, now you're harassing me. Now
I had
you're like,
a
now I'm glad that there's a bar in front of
I had a
business.
guy when I was working in downtown Healdsburg, and we were open until 7.
Mm-hmm.
Until we had a lot of people trying to get that last one in.
Yeah,
It was
that's
very frustrating.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's why most wineries legally now have to close at like 4.
Since
With the
they're
permit
on the
thing.
square, they have different rules.
They're different, but
Yeah.
outside of the square, it's you close at 4, and it's
Yep.
a permit thing.
4
And it just depends
to
on when you.
5.
It depends on when you filed the
Yes.
permit. Mhm.
Some people are grandfathered in.
I worked at a couple wineries, and I worked at a winery that was an older winery, and we were open later at that winery than the other one.
And the later ones are always, they get a little rough at the end sometimes.
You're like, they show up at 6:30,
But-
and you're like, please go.
Yeah, no, I had a guy who showed up at 6, and I was like, cool, we'll do a tasting. And then,
Oh no, at like 7:30, you're like, get out.
so I got in trouble if I stayed.
Oh, because they're paying you more.
Yeah, so my boss really didn't like overtime. And so I got in trouble if I stayed open later. And so this guy, it was,
None of these are wineries
Yep.
that I've worked for.
yep, it was 6:45, and I was like,
I know which one.
we're closing soon. And he, okay, yeah, I'm on my way out. And he was nursing that last taste. And 6:50.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
but sometimes,
and
like-
I'm like literally like going into the back and like going to wash dishes and shit because I was the only one there. I was closing.
Oh no, mistake 1.
6:55. He's still there.
The pour is like this much lower.
Yep. 7. I'm like, I'm really sorry.
You have to leave.
You have to leave. And but I'm still thinking about what bottle I want to get. I'm still thinking about the wine club. And I went, I'm sorry, we're closed. And he went, well, I
Oh.
paid. So, and I went, okay, we're going to have a problem here. So I
this
went,
is the cops call.
this was the cops' call. And what's great about Healdsburg and the squares, the cops are literally around the corner.
They say we know drunk people are here.
It was
Don't do
fantastic.
it.
And they're so nice. Like,
They're nice to you if you work there.
Yes, and I worked there. We did barrel tasting there. I had to do that a couple of times.
Barrel tasting at this point hurts my soul. I don't think I could ever
Please
do
only
it.
go barrel tasting if you want to buy futures.
Please.
Please.
Because if you just want to get drunk, like,
There's other ways to
you're
do it.
hurting me.
It-
And it's cheaper to do it other ways.
Oh.
It's cheaper.
I love. It's actually
Or even
Like,
if you are just going
the
to be
tickets
nice.
for barrel tasting weekend is so freaking cheap because they are aiming at the college students that just turned 21.
Well, just honestly,
please don't
just,
do it.
Just tip. Like, honestly,
Yes.
just tip. Like, you're gonna get drunk. If you like tip me, like, I'm gonna get you drunker. Like, I mean,
Don't
like,
get mad at people if they cut you off because you probably don't know your limit yet.
No. Oh my god, I would hear stories during barrel tasting because I worked at a winery, and I've worked at a winery. I turned 21 in the fall, and I started working at a winery the week after I turned 21. So I was very much in it,
Woo!
which is great. But like also when barrel tasting came around, I had never been barrel tasting.
Oh
I'd
my
never
god.
seen
You didn't
barrel
know
tasting.
it was gonna happen?
And so like the next year, so this year, I was like, if you're gonna get drunk, if you know you're drunk, like, don't be the people, like, because I see you. And I posted on, so my school has a fraternity sorority life, and I posted on that, and I was like, I work at a winery. I have friends that work at a winery. We will turn you in to the police, to the sorority, to the fraternity, to the university. You will get kicked out. Don't be the person that's puking downstairs, because we know who you are. And if you show up wearing, like, if you're gonna do this anyway, like, please don't. But if you're going to, if you show up wearing your letters, like, that's so dumb, because I can just call the nearest university and be like, hey, this person from Apple Pie
Yeah.
was
Apple pie.
was here and drunk, like, and it is. And I honestly did
Actually
call.
thought to do that.
I called the advisor and I said,
love it.
this person was here, and like, I work at a
And
winery,
it's
and I saw
not-
them.
Not cool.
And because they had like sent out a message, and they were like, this happened at this last barrel tasting, and this can't happen again. And
Mhm.
so I was like, it won't, and this is how we're gonna be sure. And it's disrespectful to it's disrespectful to people that you know too, because they're just trying to work.
Oh my god, sorry.
audio
To everyone
engineer.
who just saw my crazy ass face, I looked at my
Yeah.
husband, our audio engineer, who poured himself a pint glass of wine.
Red wine.
Yep.
Sharing is caring.
Woo! Okay, I gotta take a pee break.
All right. So am I just gonna ramble?
Yeah, vamp.
Or we can talk.
Or
We can talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Jump in. Take the spot. How long or how far have we gone, by the way?
We're at 64 minutes. It's going
That's not
well,
too
so
bad.
just let it-
Okay, that's not bad. Hi, Nate.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Oh, my fellow likes vagina.
That's right.
Right? I don't know if you're fluid. I forgot to ask you, but
Well, I appreciate that.
no. So I feel like that's important.
Yeah, and,
You
and
never
it's
know.
definitely this. What I'm noticing about this show, and you know, me, ever the producer.
Me and Jordan. Yeah.
It's fun. It's engaging. I liked how you two were just kind of talking, telling stories, and it's a great way for, you know, a youthful audience, because you're in college. You're talking
Her
about
child.
Greek life. Jordan is married, so there's some really
It's a
interesting
nice dynamic.
cross cultural referencing occurring. I would say explore some more of that. Other than that,
Yeah.
it's going fucking great, and you know, it's a lot of fun. All right, bye everybody.
That was like the quickest pee ever.
oh, I do really.
I also have to pee. Do you want to, Nate?
Go for it.
Nate, take my mic.
Oh, I can tell the end of my story. It's not the most exciting end of a story. So basically what happened with the group of 40 to 50-year-olds that came in is in the end one of the men vomited in a urinal, which we found out about 15
Gross.
minutes after they left without buying any wine or tipping.
You've told me that story before too, and every time it just leaves a terrible taste in my mouth about, you know, why hospitality
Well,
is
also,
you know, a complicated industry.
what is the point in going wine tasting, especially to an higher class of winery, if you're just gonna get blown out of your mind and you won't be able to taste anything because your taste buds are all fucked up?
Don't get me wrong, like, yo, that sounds honestly like a lot of fun, but do that somewhere else. Go to the fucking beach.
You're ruining someone's work day. You're wasting their time.
Yeah, and people that are
And
nerds about wine, you know, you kind of you ruined their time, probably.
Also, don't act like a college student. No offense, Rio.
Hey, yeah, I'm
And-
noticing that it's a fun dynamic between you two, because you sound like the old bitch, but you make a lot of sense.
But
She sounds nuts.
what I was about to say is, don't
Crazy kid.
don't. What I was saying is, don't act like a college student. No offense, and
I don't
leave
act
a
like a college
party.
student. I don't. Not at wineries.
But there's so many
Bars maybe.
college students that leave a party with like vomit somewhere hidden. And the fact that this group of like 40 to 50-year-old people, like this dude vomited in a urinal, which probably meant he was peeing and then went, uh-oh, and then was...
Also, like, you shouldn't be vomiting if you're drinking. Like, don't drink that much. Like,
It was
you're not having
also-
fun. I'm not having fun. Like, let's just not.
At this point, it was probably like 11 a.m. Everyone say hi to Francis.
It's a pod.
The podcast.
Yes.
He's our
definitely.
sponsor.
Thank you very much.
Sponsored by Francis the cat.
Oh, he has a nice, lovely bow tie.
He's
No,
not a
but
good
yeah.
sponsor. He hasn't given us any money.
I do like money.
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't be sad about sponsors on this podcast.
We would not be sad if you want to sponsor
You
us.
guys
Please
wanna do,
jam
like,
us on
video
Instagram.
game streams with, like, Mario Kart?
I like to say that I'm good at Mario Kart, but
Oh.
I'm very bad.
That's an exciting thing. I do have Mario Kart on N64 coming in the mail very soon.
That makes me excited. It makes me so excited. I mean, games.
Yeah.
I like to play games with people and with. I'm 22. I can do that.
Yes.
Like Loki. You know, I think about that a lot.
Loki.
You know, it's rough out here trying to Trying to date people is rough because it is like game playing, and I hate that.
Well,
I'm
also,
just well, we've talked about how I'm like I'm not trying to date anyone.
yeah,
Like I don't want to do that right now.
off camera, we've had lots of conversations about like being young and dating, and
Yeah.
literally, when I was 21, I had a dude cheat on me.
Mm.
And I got
Me too.
so pissed off that I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to date anyone anymore. I'm just gonna have my fun, do my
what I
thing,
do. Yeah,
and I'm
if
not
it
going
happens,
to
it
be
happens.
in a relationship.
That's so valid. That's like so. I mean, we've talked about like I was just engaged, and it was
Yes.
also the second time I was engaged. Same person, but second time, and like, and it was a commitment. And now I'm like,
You're also just so freaking young.
I had dating apps, and I actually took them off my phone because I was like, I was telling my friend like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to put effort in. I just want to like live my life and exist, and like, because it is like it's a youth thing, and
want
it's
to meet
also
people
like
in the wild.
right.
Not that we can do that right now, but also
No.
dating apps are so
It's
worthless
so
right
shallow,
now.
and like I don't care.
Well,
I really don't.
You also can't meet a stranger right now because you're like,
no.
I don't know who you've been hanging out with.
No, and I'm like exactly, and I don't want to put the effort in. It's also like at this point I'm like I'm tired of trying to, like with my last relationship it was like I felt like I was putting more effort in. And so now it's like I'm tired of putting effort in
exhausting.
and not getting it back, and I don't care. Like I don't want to put any effort into anyone else except for me. And like I'll put it into
Good.
friendships, but like if you haven't known me before now, like get fucked. Like
Also,
I'll hook up with you, but like I sound like
You're-
such a like fuckboy right now. I'm like the fuckboy lesbian.
I mean,
which is totally a thing.
yeah.
I slit my eyebrow. I'm a fuckboy.
yeah, you did. I noticed
Except
that.
Gordy. Shout out to Audrey. Like
But this is the age where you're allowed to be. Just don't play with other people's emotions.
no, I don't. I've
That's-
been played with too much.
That's the
and
fuckboy thing.
No, that's like my thing. Like if you're just a hookup to me, like it will be clear. Like you will know. And that's like my thing is like I don't
Great
like
to meet you.
I don't like playing with other people's. I've been played, I've been cheated on, I've been whatever. And it's like I don't like I know what I want and you know what you want, so like let's just get that on the table and go from there. Like if you don't want what I want, like I'm sorry but that's not going to work.
I feel like when I was single, I was such a freaking sitcom script because I would only go to the guy's house because first of all, I didn't want to clean my own sheets, and I didn't want them to know where I lived.
Yeah,
No, and by
that's me
guy,
too. I
I mean
don't-
anyone who I was hooking up with.
No one comes home with me.
Yes,
And that's just like
and I would leave at 4 in the morning. I'd probably fall asleep after because normally after an orgasm I fall asleep because I'm a dude.
my friend sent me this thing that was like your body count is actually based on who's made you orgasm, and I was like, oh, mine's so much lower. I can count it
Accurate.
on one hand. Like
Oh, that's
it's 5
sad.
finger. It's 5, but like,
Yeah.
but still, I was like, actually, I think it might be 4, and I like remember each of them, and that makes me real sad.
I mean,
but even
Mine
as like
is
a
probably
lesbian,
the same.
like
But
only
as a
if you-
lesbian, it's way sadder.
that makes
than-
me really sad. But it's like also, I don't. I'm kind of hard, but like it's like okay,
Oh yeah,
I'm
I
not.
think we
but I
also have that in common.
But I'm also like not that hard because it's like okay, like I like this thing, and if you do this, then like okay, like I'm
Mhm.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
And like if not, but, like, but if not, then I'm not. And it's like
Yeah.
that's not that hard to figure out. That you do one motion, and my body language is like woo, like I'm like shuddering.
Hello.
This today on Switch Energy, but like, I mean honestly, it's like, but yeah.
No, but that's so. That resonates with me
Yeah,
so accurately. Aww.
I was like queer.
Pride.
Pride. They're all canceled. I'm so sad.
Oh.
I
that
wanted to
made
go
me
be
so
gay in San
sad.
Francisco.
But
Current events would be
Okay,
a good idea, but
okay.
No,
Still
yeah.
talking.
Well,
I'm
San
still
Francisco was canceled, and that's I've never been to San Francisco Fried, and we live an amount of
We
time.
were talking about that. How
Yeah.
neither of us had been to San Francisco Pride.
And that's like I feel like that's a rite of passage, especially living in Northern California when it's
'Cause
generally
it's
only a
such
couple
a
hours away.
Crazy
Which us, it's less than an
thing.
hour.
Yeah.
And Sac Pride was the first Pride that I went to, and I think that was canceled as well. And that's hard. Like,
Sac Pride was also my first Pride.
that was my fuckboy summer. Like, I actually really like did not care who I did or what I did, and that was, I'm sorry,
I think Sac Pride was when I realized
made my heart hurt.
that
The 2020 NYC Pride.
I never have to hit on a girl again because they will always find me. Because I was just like hanging out.
That's the problem with having like top energy, is like I have to seek you out,
Oh,
and like sometimes I don't
Apparently
want
in
to.
San Francisco Pride, there is a Pride this year.
It's virtual.
virtual.
No, I'm not going to virtual.
I'm not zooming into Pride.
I'm just gonna go
That-
Pride out.
That seems like very sad.
Zooming into Pride.
I get it. I get it
just
for the
no.
people that aren't like supported in their lives. It's very nice for them.
Once you become like a real adult, like honestly, it gets better. Like that's something that I think
That
is important to
It's
mention,
a
that
big thing. It
as
does
a
get
queer
so much better.
individual, like it gets better. Like
Yeah.
I had a family that wasn't really accepting at all. Like I think in my coming out conversation, the first thing that was said was, "No, you're not." And so
Oh my God.
like, and
Bud Light is a sponsor.
and sometimes they've
Yeah,
'cause
Bud Light.
yeah, they
Bud Light has
yeah.
always been a sponsor,
But
as
yeah.
long as it was like commercially
Gilead,
available.
Again, Gilead.
Damn.
Oh,
And T-Mobile.
We saw that on Stinks and Drinks.
they're a
Oh.
pharmaceutical company, and
What the fuck is this Handmaid's Tale bullshit, dude? This is creepy. I'm creeped out.
okay,
I was
so
just watching that.
if you
I
can
love
hear
Handmaid's
the
Tale.
echo of my husband
so-
in
I
the
can
back,
hear it, so I think that's
Yeah. I mean, we can also hear him because he's right there. But I made Nate watch Handmaid's Tale with
It's
me.
so good.
I mean, it's so
Please watch it.
good.
3 seasons. It's very okay.
And
The
there's
one
some, like-
season with the hospital episode is like,
Yeah, we talked about
But
that.
is it season 3 that gets better? Or is it season 3 where it
Season
slows
3
down?
does have the hospital episode in it.
Season 3 was kind of
but-
slow, but it's got important.
It does
plot
have
moments.
very important plot points.
Are you excited for season 4? Because I'm like,
I'm so freaking pumped.
I was sweating over. She plays Off Glen, which is Emily,
Oh,
the lesbian.
yeah,
in the
yeah,
first season.
Alexis Bledel.
The light eyes and the dark hair.
Well, I mean,
that's what I have going for me. But
I've
like,
had a crush on her since Gilmore Girls. Which
we're just gonna have
I think-
moments like,
I think Gilmore Girls is like the show that made me realize that I am bisexual, because I was like,
thinking back.
Rory and Jess together. I was like, can I just be in
Can I
the
be
middle
in
of that
there?
sandwich?
Well, for me, so recently I realized that I like had a crush on a girl in like preschool. Her name was Angel. Angel, please don't watch this. She's blonde and stunning, and like now I met her. I actually like re-met her in high school, and I was still kind of like, ooh. So like definitely, but for me it was like Jasmine and Aladdin.
Oh yeah, they are bisexual goals right there.
I just like I can't like sometimes I think back and I'm like, oh, I definitely liked girls just by like the friendships I was obsessed with,
Mm-hmm.
the characters
Okay,
that I was like, I just want to
I
watch.
actually want to touch on that.
Yeah, please.
The obsessive friendships, because I
That's
never
true.
realized that was a thing when I was growing up, because
When you're older, I feel like someone calls it out, and then you do
Well,
realize.
I looked back on it and I was like, whoa, I was way out of line.
There was I had a I had a friend from church, LOL, that Kate, and she was we were really good friends. Like we had inside jokes that our parents knew. Like we were such good friends, and I was like, "Oh, it was because I liked you and I thought you were hot." She was like
She
was my type. She still is. Kate, hey.
What up, girl?
We've matched on like Tinder before.
Oh my god,
And I'm like, "You're gay, I'm gay. Thank fucking
we have this in
Thank
common.
But no, we were so gay. And she like when she hung out, we had like a couple friends, one of which is gay, one of which is not now.
Mhm.
And they're twins. But we had a couple friends, and when she hung out with them, I get super jealous. And I was like, oh, like I just like wanted but now I'm like, oh, it's because I was gay. Because I didn't know what
Okay.
being gay was,
So
you know?
I had this friend in high school. I've talked to Nate about this where she is completely not my physical type. I still don't like I look at her
You
and I'm
don't
like,
understand the
you're
attraction?
pretty,
But
but you're like I'm not sexually attracted to you, but I had the emotional
and that's on
and
estrogen.
well, also it's not just on me because we were growing up and we would read like Harry Potter erotica together.
Oh,
And I'm
well,
like,
once
we're
you
reading sexy stuff.
how queer friendships
Next.
redefine the lines between platonic. When you and your friends don't straight the labels.
Oh my god.
Okay, someone sent me a TikTok that was like
This is from 2018.
Okay, we're not
2018.
gonna read an article on
but
air.
my friends were like, my friend was like, sent me this TikTok that was like, oh, like the girls that are my friends versus everyone they've dated, and it was all like her friend and then her, and I was like, and that's on queer friendships, but like it is like I just met people who are like, oh, we fucked, and then we're like, nah, we're friends, and like that's sometimes I feel like that's a lot of times how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
because we were like a very, very, very close friendship where
so
she,
okay.
well, she was also very boy crazy, and I was always like, you're crazy.
At a certain point, I was
And I
also
was
boy crazy,
also-
and that's hilarious.
Well, I was
now.
also going like, ew, these are the boys you like, because she was
Today I'm
like,
gay.
right? That was prime gay Jordan. Not fully knowing
like-
it, but I also wasn't having crushes on boys, and the only crushes I fully had.
I thought I liked boys. I
Oh.
thought they were nice to me.
my
That if you're a boy and you're nice to me, apparently that's my qualification.
shout out
but I
to
like-
Mark Espinoza, who is a fully gay man
Mhm.
who I in my senior year of high school I was like, I think I like you, and he went, you're the only person I've told you this, but I'm gay, and I went, oh, thank God, because
That makes so much sense.
you're just like, you're so nice, and I thought that's what a relationship should be like. And he went, no, you're so nice too, but
That's-
I
yeah.
don't. And he would
so as a
he
lesbian,
would bring me
same.
like his pants so that I could wear them because we were equally skinny. And so
Yeah.
I was like, this is a relationship, right? But I don't want to kiss his face.
And that's how I felt about guys. Like if you were nice to me, like I was like, oh, like this is what this is supposed to be. Like with growing up, like and only seeing straight relationships, like which is like for us, like we're millennials. I feel like
Are you no? You're Gen Z.
I'm a cusp.
You're
I don't
cusp.
claim that. I didn't eat Tide Pods. Like I will
You're like,
not.
I feel more.
I relate more to
millennial.
the millennial because the difference generally what people are saying now is like, did you grow up with computers or not? And I didn't.
Okay, so you grew up more like us.
Yeah, I'm super on the edge, and because my
Mhm.
parents were very traditional too, like I was very on the edge. But even like I feel like even older Gen Zs, like just like so.
When did
like, a
you
couple
get
years
your
younger than me.
first cell phone?
I was in high school.
Okay, then you can count yourself as millennial.
I might have been like my last year of middle school, but the thing about that was like I was house sitting a lot.
You were also the eldest.
Yeah, and
So
I
you had
was
to
the
take
oldest, so
care.
I was the babysitter, and I was house sitting and dog sitting. So I was going places, and like so when I was babysitting, like I would be there until late because it's like date night. But even
Also-
date night can last until like midnight. And there was, I think the moment where it was like she needs a cell phone was I babysat for a New Year's Eve. And so they were like, okay, she's been out until like 3 in the morning.
So that's fucking weird that your parents let you do that.
babysit
As a
or
like, yeah,
12, 13.
yeah, as
It
a
kinda-
teen.
Yeah, I mean, I really like children in not a weird way. Like I like teaching, and I was a student teacher, and like so I was kind of that person. But like it was like I was volunteering and being a person
mean,
who watched children at 13,
I.
and that's when like I started working in Auburn, which was like 30 minutes away from where I lived, and so that was like when it was like okay, like yeah, like she needs a cell phone because like if anything happens and it's an emergency, or if she's babysitting, like it's easier to
Yeah.
pull something out of your pocket and call 911 than it is to go find the house phone, leave the child, like you know.
I mean, I fully relate to the babysitting young thing because
Yeah.
so what a lot of people don't know about me is my parents met at Renaissance Fair, and then my mom
Oh.
also met my stepfather through like Renaissance Fair.
Mm-hmm.
And so growing up, I grew up in this like extremely large community,
Yeah.
which for other people is a church. For me, it's nerdy shit. And when I was
For me, it's the church.
when I was 11 or 12, I think I was 11, we started doing the Charles Dickens Fair in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so we had family friends through there,
Right.
one of which had a child who was, like 6 or 7 at the time. She's a grown-up now. But since I knew her and we were in the same cast, so it's just like a giant play. So you have different
Yeah.
casts.
Yeah.
So we
Well, I
Yeah.
did theater.
we both did theater. We
Oh,
were in the
no,
same
we should
cast.
not talk about that.
No, that's a whole different.
Did you do
podcast.
musical theater or
Yes.
theater? Oh no, we should not talk about
Not
that.
this one.
all.
Not this one.
We should have.
Come on, do it.
You could have we could have like a whole podcast for like adults who did theater as youths, musical theater as
Oh
youths.
my God, there should be.
That's also how you
one.
realize you were gay. Like, I
For a little bit. Just do it.
No. I'm not done with this story.
Yeah, tell me the
So I was
story,
like
and then we
11
can
or
go into-
12, and this kid was like between 5 and 7, and I knew her like
did you watch John
our
Mulaney's
families were all
comedy?
friends. Not yet. But so we were in the same cast. Her dad was in my parents' cast, and her mom
Okay.
was in a completely different cast, and so it was
Interesting.
hard for them to keep track of their own child
That makes sense.
unless she was in like the daycare that they provided. But they were like, "Hey, you child, we know you. Can you keep an eye on her? We will pay you." And I went,
money.
"Great." And so because my parents were like, "Yeah, we'll give you like I guess $10 a day for your food." And we were working 12 hours a day, so I was like, "That's a meal in a
Ish.
because if you've ever
Yeah.
been to a Renaissance fair, a turkey leg costs $11.
Oh, it's $11.
It's
I thought it was-
fucking
I thought it was
expensive.
14. That's me.
Well,
Is
it might
turkey
be
good?
now. I haven't been in a long time.
I
But-
think it's expensive from what
So-
I've recognized. Just like thinking about fair food.
They were paying me like $7 an hour as an 11-year-old to watch their child, and I was like, "This is dope. This is great." And she was a good kid, and so that is
Oh, that's
literally
so
where my
nice.
child care started, was watching someone who was half my age.
At that time.
Right? And now she's older than you. She's a grown ass lady.
I was like,
She's literally older than you because I'm
Yeah.
30 and she was only 6 or 7 years younger than me, and so she's a couple years older than you.
so John Mulaney's comedy is like it's like
The like
it's
sack
like
lunch
playing a
kids
it's
or
like
something.
playing a horse to watch your dog. Like it's a slightly older child. Like she can only dial the phone like slightly faster than I can.
I think
It's like his whole bit, and that's so true.
it's so I think about
When you're paying
that,
a 12-year-old to, I've babysat when I was 12. I would like babysit 10-year-olds. Like
that's what I was just thinking about when you were bringing up. You're like, "Yeah, I was in middle school." I'm like, "So you were a baby watching babies."
I was a baby watching babies, but I could dial the phone better.
Hey, hey.
I could not.
You're
drive.
like, "Oh, let me dial on my Nokia." My indestructible Nokia.
Actually, so by the time I got a cell phone,
It was a flip
I was
phone?
actually so late in the trend that it was one of the ones that had the keyboard. Because they were like, it's cheaper than getting a flip phone to get the one with the keyboard.
God.
I remember I missed that
What?
phone.
Um.
I missed that phone
Fuck,
so much.
what are they called?
Can I have it back so I can only text people?
Like,
Get
I'm
rid of
literally flipping it right now. What is it called?
I know
It's
what
like
you're
the
talking about.
kick
Yeah, something like that with the it's like got the
and then you
keyboard.
flip it back, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna
and then
put
you
it in
have,
my pocket."
You
and
have
it's,
the one through star.
but it's
keyboard.
literally the
1 through
size
pound
of
sign.
like Game Boy Color. It is huge.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
oh,
no,
that's before your age too. A Game
no,
Boy
but I
Color.
do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I did because my cousin was really into it. My cousin was a little bit older than me. Actually, probably a lot bit older than me. I don't actually know. Brian, if
know
you're watching
how
this,
old
I'm
my
so
cousin
sorry.
is.
Well, because I was the oldest of the cousins on my dad's side, but I was the oldest youngest on my mom's side. So like my mom's
okay.
brother, I think I'm the same age as the youngest child,
Mm.
and my on my dad's side, I'm the oldest by like their oldest is as young as my second younger brother. So she's just graduating high school.
I used to be the youngest on my mom's side until we found out about her long lost half sister.
That's crazy. That's a story.
Oh,
That's gonna be a podcast.
Oh,
We're
it's
gonna.
great.
That's gonna be
Oh.
an episode.
going into my family history is nuts.
Same.
So,
Also really personal to
but-
people it happened to.
yeah.
I guess.
Oh, they're very open about it. We all are.
We're
Well,
not
it
naming names.
really helps that all of the grandparents are dead. All of the people that did
I have
all
a
of the
pair.
things, they're all dead.
I have a pair left, so I can't talk any shit about a side of my family.
Even the steps are dead. I literally and so my mom got
Oh, that's
remarried.
my family.
My dad got remarried. And so they're individuals.
There is a
They're
remarriage.
also dead.
Well, there's a remarriage there's two remarriages in my family, and one of which is known, one of which is not. And
I
the
know.
only reason that I know is a very specific reason. And like it was very thrown off, and it was very much like you can never let your siblings know about this. When I
Huh?
found out, and so it's funny, and like mom and dad, I still have that
Oh.
at my arsenal.
So I think
I'm holding on to that.
since I have 23andMe, and this happens on a
I need to do that, but
semi
yeah.
regular basis, but we are going to have a segment called Guess Who Has a New Cousin?
Is it you?
It's always me.
Well, my family's from the my mom's side of the family's from the south, so like I for sure also have two cousins.
Oh, well,
I found
think-
out someone that I call my aunt is my cousin. We call her Aunt Sue, and she
Woo!
was like, she commented on one of my posts, and she was like, "Hey, cousin." I was like, "Get out!" Like, no, that makes me feel so uncomfy.
Yeah, I feel like
If you're from the south, just like
I
we're
feel like
probably related.
I have a new family member pop up every 3 to 6 months now that I've done 23andMe, because both
Yeah.
of my grandparents on my mom's side were hoes.
Well, so I have family on my mom's side that had like
no
18
shame on hoes,
children.
but 18 children's?
Children's.
Children's?
I meant that. But yeah, they have like 18 children's. And it's like, first of all, how do you keep track? And then once they start having grandchildren. But now they're relatives too.
That reminds me of a scene in Parks and Rec from the last season.
Yeah.
The old you know what I'm talking. The old congressman.
Oh my god.
And they're talking to him, and they're like, "Hey, tell us about your grandchildren." He's like, "Well, there's Timmy and Susie and Timmy and Bobby and Janie and
If
Timmy."
you're-
And they were like, "Did you forget about Timmy?" And he's like, "Right, Timmy."
If you're one of those people who like your parents had a lot of people, you're designated had a lot of people, had a lot of children. You're
I mean,
designated.
technically,
you-
they did have a lot of people.
They did, but
They-
you have to give your child a unique name. Like I'm the oldest of 4. I have the most unique name in the family. No offense to the rest of my family, but suck it. And and you know, like that is because if you don't name them something that's like out of the box, because if you are naming everyone Timmy, then like maybe it's a family name, but at the same time, like no one knows who you're talking
Well, I
about.
think he was just old and had dementia.
Well, but also
But also that, like, don't name everyone like Michael, Matthew.
I have a Robert in my family.
Not to call out Nate's family. Whoopsie.
That's fine. Nate was a hop-in name for. My name's kind of weird.
Well, Nate.
Brother chins. Chill out.
Rude. Nate's name is spelled different, and so he's special.
Well, your name is spelled
My
different.
name is spelled different as well, and then so
My name's just weird.
my mom.
My name's a Fleetwood Mac song, so I have that going for me.
So my older sister, I'm one of two. I'm two of two. I'm two of two.
Oh my lord. I'm
my,
one of 4, and I am
Right.
the one that started the 4.
There you go. I'm the one that ended two.
They were like, "We're done."
Well, I was
I was like, "Let's."
not planned, so that's
I'm
also a thing.
I'm like the let's.
Shout out mom and dad. Hi, I love y'all.
I don't know that my sisters planned. Hi, mom and dad. But like, I
We're
don't-
gonna do a lot of hi mom and dad.
They're like, we swear we wanted to have 4. We swear we want. My parents are always like, we swear we wanted to have 4. Like we wanted 4, and I'm
That's
like,
a lot.
yeah, but you found her name through like watching a movie, and you're like, we like this actress's name. They watch. It's not Die Hard, but it's something similar to that.
What is
And-
your sister's name?
Skylar. The actress's name is Skylar.
Oh, how old is your sister?
15.
Okay, so it
Which
was
is weird to think about
so
because
it
I
was-
think of her as like 4.
it wasn't Breaking Bad time.
No, it was pre-Breaking Bad.
Okay.
But they do watch Breaking Bad. It's a movie that she hasn't been allowed to watch because it's age appropriate.
But
So-
she's 15, so she could.
She can watch it now. She's allowed to watch it now, but she hasn't yet. And I don't remember which
Well-
movie it is. I don't think it's Die Hard, but I want to say it's Die Hard, but
That's
it's
a
not
cute
Die
name,
Hard.
though, Skylar.
It is, but even like I remember it being like
There's a lot of Skylars out there now.
well when I was in middle school or elementary school, whatever, watching like saying like, oh, my parents are gonna have another baby as a girl, they're gonna name her Skylar. Everyone was like, that's a boy's name.
Rude.
And depending on the spelling though, because like an ER is like a male Skylar and an AR is a female Skylar apparently. And so I know, right?
I have opinions.
I have opinions too, but I dated a male Skylar.
Of course you
And
did.
that was very interesting for me. But also like I also went to school with a Skylar who's a guy, and then I like know Skylar, and then but the male Skylars that I know have said like, oh, people think that they're like, oh, that's a girl's name. But it's like, but I hear, oh, that's a boy's name, so I'm like, I don't Skylar is gender neutral.
As someone who has a gender neutral name, I feel
Yeah,
that
is.
wholeheartedly. I mean, shout out
I do
to
not.
Mom, who added an extra N just in case I hated my name, so I could be Anne. Which I hate.
guess. I mean,
I'm
Anne's
not an
kinda
Anne.
worse.
It
Reminds me of Anne of Green Gables
See,
when she was like, "Don't just add an E because I
I'm
don't
like,
want."
it's so freaking plain.
That's Anne of Green
just
Gables said that about
Anne.
herself.
Yes, I felt it, and I still feel it, and that is why I will never be an Anne. But so my mom wanted to build in a nickname because my middle name that she gave me at the time was not nicknameable.
What was your name? What's your middle name?
My middle name is Gray. Now it is totally
I know a Gray.
nicknameable.
Mine's
exactly.
Nicole.
Oh, very 90s.
It is very tiny.
You were either Nicole or Michelle.
Or Rose. Rose was a big one too.
So
Or Marie. Marie was a really big one when I was growing up.
Danielle.
I've actually
Danielle.
known 4
Jack-
Stephanie
Jack-
Michelles.
Jackie was a big one in the
I know Jackie.
I wouldn't say Jackie was a good middle name, but
Jackie was a good first name.
Jackie's always been a good first
It was
name.
always Jacqueline Jackie.
My mom's
first
name
names.
is Jacqueline, and
I
she goes
dated
by
a girl
Jackie.
named Jackie.
Yeah, my
Jacqueline
mom.
I do
Jackie.
know a woman named Jackie.
My mom's
I'm
name
like-
is Jackie.
Sorry, Jackie.
I love you very,
cool.
very much.
Jessica.
I don't love you.
Jessica's always been a
Jessica's a go-to.
Oh, Jessica's always been one. Stephanie, Michelle.
I only knew a couple Stephanies.
Oh,
That
Stephanie was,
my-
like my.
It started going out
age
in the
range.
later 90s.
Yeah.
It was like Stephanie was like, all right, we're done.
Kim was.
Stacey.
We got a lot of Kimberlys
Yeah.
right before me,
Yeah.
and
do
I
know a
don't
lot-
think it's come back.
I know a Kim, a Kimberly, but like
well,
not.
Nate and I have an Aunt Kim, but
I
she's
have
in
an aunt-
her.
Well, so my mom's name is Barbara. My mom's name is Barbara, which is definitely
Babs.
she was a baby boomer.
Does she
so
go by
that's-
Babs?
No,
Damn
she's like
it.
she doesn't like nicknames.
Oh, so
But when
she'd
they
be
named me
cool.
Rhiannon, they were like, do not. Their thing was like never. they never wanted me to go by a nickname, and when I started going by Rio, I think it really pissed them off. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, for like at everything I've been
Like,
talking about. But
do they just hear your name in their head all the time as Stevie Nicks? Just
well, my dad, my
Rihanna?
mom, the way that my mom tells like how I was named is, so my dad always gives like options with like, this is the one option he wants, and here's worse options. So my name options were Rhiannon, Andromeda, or Cassiopeia. And my mom said,
What the fuck?
well, those are constellations.
I know.
But my mom said, my mom hates the name Cassie. And I had a friend that was Cassie, and she was Cassandra.
Shout out to our sister-in-law Cassie.
Hi, Cassie. I'm sorry. But no, my mom hates the name Cassie. I had a friend growing up named Cassie, and she called her Cassandra. Like, she hates Cassie so much. So she was like, even Cassiopeia, because I was like, you don't call me by a nickname now.
Cassandra's good.
I was like, you don't call me by a nickname now. And she's like, yeah, but even saying Cassiopeia, like, was too much. Andromeda was kind of weird. And then, like,
yeah, that's too much.
but then I guess when she married my dad, he was
Unless
like,
you went by Andy.
see, that's what I was like, I could be Andromeda and
You're
go
like,
by Andy.
I could be Andy.
I was
right
like,
now.
I would be the same person, but with like Andromeda Andy. Like, that would be
I-
so cool. I'm gonna change my name. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
I'm
My
gonna start
middle
calling you
name's
Andy.
I've thought about changing my name to Andromeda. It'd be like Andromeda Rhiannon Jones. But don't stalk me. But and going by Andy, because that would be so cool, because I love that name. But like, so my child will be. But
There
no.
you go.
So that was like the worst of the option. But my mom was like, oh yeah, he was like, ever since I heard the song Rhiannon, I was like, if I ever have a daughter, her name will be Rhiannon. I love that name so much. And she was like, how do I say no to that? And I was
Oh
like,
my god.
so that's
You-
why I'm Rhiannon.
I mean, you just say no. But
yeah, it's like, you just say no,
Um,
we're not doing that. That has an H and people can't spell that. But they actually do get really pissed when people can't like say my name, because when you look at it phonetic, like spelled and phonetically, I feel like I do feel like it's not that hard.
it's not that hard because it's R with the H, which makes you go, huh, Rhiannon.
yeah.
It's not
So
hard.
It's interesting, but
Oh,
it's
see,
fine.
I
don't
since I
care
have
anymore.
the double N and I'm
People
a girl.
are like Jordann.
Oh, I get Jordann. I've gotten Jordana, and I'm like, there's no extra
There's not
A.
another A. That's how I feel about Rhiannon.
Jordann. I've gotten that, and I'm like, how do you get there?
Well,
You got to do a lot of jumps to
yeah.
get there.
well, so Rihanna is actually, she's come out and said like, my name's actually Rihanna, and
Yeah, Rihanna.
I kind of hated being compared to her when I was younger, because when I was younger I was super religious, and I was like, she's kind of a
she
slut.
was just so fucking hot.
she was hot, and I was suppressing. But now it's like, she came out, and when she said like, my name's Rihanna, I was like,
Rihanna.
her name's Rihanna,
Yeah,
or Rihanna.
because everyone calls her Rihanna, and
it's
she's like,
Rihanna.
it's Rihanna.
So when she said my name's Rihanna, I was so, that I like boycotted. I was so mad, because I was like, if you would have said your name correctly from the beginning, I would have lost so much like strife in my life, because people are like, oh, Rihanna. I'm like, no, like Shannon, but Rhiannon. And so like, now if she had gone by what her name is,
Actually,
the
is.
correct pronunciation of her name, it would have made my life easier. This
I
is a
mean,
call out, Rihanna.
Technically, her
I love
name
you,
is
but
Robin.
like, get fucked.
Technically, her name is Robin.
Really?
Yeah, her first name is Robin with a Y. Robin Rihanna
Stop being trendy and
Fenty.
giving your children Y's as eyes.
I mean,
Or
technically,
E's as eyes.
she's my age, so that was very big in the late 80s.
I know. Well,
And
so
it
my
still
mom was
is.
my mom was a boomer.
Like,
No, literally.
okay, so
I mean, literally, she
I-
was born in like the 60s. Like, she's
Oh,
a boomer.
my mom was born in 1960. I
She's a
gotta,
boomer too.
I gotta call her out for being a
I love you,
super
Mommy.
hippie.
My mom
for
wasn't a
how-
hippie, but she was a boomer.
Well, for how she chose my name, she was in
Oh, no.
Tahoe with my dad and his family. And according to the
This
lore,
is very California. Like, my
Yes.
family's not from California.
according to the lore of my name, they were on the deck because they had rented a cabin. They were on the
Mhm.
deck. My mom was breastfeeding my sister because So we're 2
Yeah.
years apart. My mom wasn't even pregnant yet.
Okay.
She's breastfeeding my sister, and she goes, "Our next kid's gonna be named Jordan."
And it's very
And
gender neutral.
My dad went,
Could have been a guy or girl.
"Wait, what?" And she went,
Your dad was like, no more children.
"No, they were planning on it because they were happy at that time."
It's a big
I mean,
mood with
fast
parents.
forward 9
Hashtag
months,
parents.
and they were planning on getting divorced, and I happened. But again, actually happened.
Well,
But
my mom's sister's 10 years younger than her, so like if that tells you anything.
oh,
And her parents are divorced.
they still decided
Were. They both did. But
if their first child was a boy, because they didn't do gender on either me or my sister, because
cool.
my mom was afraid of too much radiation on the belly.
that
because
actually does, I do kind of get that.
it's
Like, I don't
not-
think that's a thing, but I do get the concern.
it's not a thing anymore. It was in the 80s, so she
Because,
she
well,
did
practices
good
were
back then.
different back then. I mean, with my parents, they knew. My
Smoking
mom.
podcast too, if you would like.
Sure. Yeah, my parents knew.
That's
But
a
I was-
picture right there. I'll have to get a still of that.
Don't worry, we've all been tested. We're safe.
Yeah,
I really have to point that out because we, sheltered together. But my parents had already decided a boy name for
was your
my
boy name?
sister. Her boy name would have been Sean Patrick.
That's so Irish.
Look at my face.
Okay, so
And
I'm
then
Polish, so I feel.
my boy name also would have been Sean Patrick. They kept with the same because
The
my
Irish.
mom. So
Go
my
to San Jose.
also my mom's a super hippie, and she is big on the power of suggestion, and she only wanted girls. And she was like, I meditated on it for hours. I only wanted girls.
Well, she only got girls.
She only got girls, so there you go. And
Yeah.
we cute. So
There you go. I don't know. My mom said that she knew my sister was gonna be a girl, and so when she was pregnant with my first brother, Sean, she lost her cousin
well,
in a car accident.
so your parents had 2 and 2, right?
Yeah. So she was her cousin was Robert, and so they had already agreed on Sean after my dad.
So many Seans.
There are 2 Seans in my family. There's
Jesus
so many Seans.
Christ.
So my brother Sean wants to have a boy and name him Sean as well, and have the third.
Oh, he wants a legacy.
My brother's also very right leaning.
Hmm.
My brother's a very interesting. Hi Sean, I love you, but
Oh, literally show up to his wedding just wearing a rainbow
I'll wear a
dress.
suit. I'll just wear a suit. That would be worse.
Rainbow suit.
If it-
with that rainbow makeup.
That
oh,
the
it's
whole
so
full face.
pretty.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, no. So Sean was already.
Anyways.
They had named Sean, and so my mom's cousin died because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. So that was always a thing when I grew up. Because
Whale.
pre-seatbelts.
No,
And so-
no.
I grew up. Well, my family was very pre-seatbelt until my mom's cousin died, because he was in a car accident not wearing a seatbelt, and he would have survived if he wore a seatbelt.
So I'm gonna call
Was,
that
the
out.
thing?
Time-wise, it was not pre-seatbelt time.
Yeah.
Your parents were just not
Rule
paying
flags.
attention to the rules of the law,
I don't know.
or
Well, he
or
died-
any sort of.
She was really close
statistics.
with her cousin, and then so she was
That's nice.
She already knew they definitely planned at 3, and that's what I'm gonna say. Mom and Dad, you planned at 3, and so they had their 3, and they were like, okay, so if we had a third child and it's a boy, we're gonna name him Robert, because that was my mom's cousin's name. So my second brother is Robert after her cousin. So my second cousin, I guess, Robert, for my
Mhm.
cousin once removed. And that was their thing, because they had already decided on John. I was already born. So, but yeah,
John, so boring.
Sean, Robert, and Skylar. And I'm Rhiannon. That's not fair.
I'd say Rhiannon and Skylar. Those are
We're
both,
we're the most out there.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
more out there
the
than
boys
Skylar.
are boring. Sorry,
Sean's,
I haven't met you, but sorry.
Sean is SEAN instead of SHAWN. So it's not
SEAN is the
it's the
traditional
Irish.
Irish way.
And we are. So, like, but, like, the same. But the, like, they weren't going to do, but also, like, SHAWN. It's very, like, hipster spelling, I feel like. It's very, like, I'm
that was
from
the
America.
very 80s and 90s, like,
Yeah.
skater boy Sean. It's Sean.
Yeah, and that's this is so weird. I'm like, ugh. But yeah.
I'm getting confirmation from my husband, who is slightly older than me.
Yeah, I got all of this.
The SHAWN.
Sean.
Sean.
I snowboard, man.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's
my
also
God.
super California. And like I feel like I'm entitled to say this because my family's from Michigan, and like now that so the more that I meet people that are like I'm from California, my family's from California, I'm like,
Oh, it's a thing.
this is different because my
So,
family is very much from the Midwest.
my mom's family actually emigrated through Angel Island into LA.
My family was
And
from
so-
Detroit during the Holocaust.
Technically,
I'm Jewish.
woo woo.
Woo,
Technically, we are Californians.
That's great. I'm happy.
Fully through my mom's side, and then with my dad, he was born and raised in Indiana. The whole family, they were Indiana. They're Scotch Irish, mostly Scottish, because my paternal grandmother, her last name is Mitchell, and the Mitchells were kicked out of Scotland for being too rowdy.
Well, so my mom's maiden name is Nowinski, which is the ski is very
the
Polish.
Ski.
And so we're super Polish, and my mom did the DNA testing, and she's Polish. She's Polish, like very Polish.
Yeah.
Like we already knew that, but she's Jewish too. That's like
What-
how we
what?
found out we were Jewish,
Yeah.
and that's very interesting.
Yay,
So hey,
Jews.
hey Jews, Polish Jews. Hey, hi, if you're
Oh,
a Polish Jew,
Speaking of this,
Let's
I want
go.
to
We
talk about
survived.
like a thing that just happened in New York. The mayor of New York. So I'm not talking about the governor Cuomo, who is
No.
amazing and he's been doing a great job. He's
he's
also
great.
like very hot, but
not
the mayor of
like NYC.
yes, the mayor of New York City.
New York.
Just a few days ago tweeted out how the Jews and everyone else need to stop congregating.
So
And he
yeah,
specifically called out
the Jews.
Jewish people.
That's kind of my fear in even being like partially Jewish. I'm like I'm gay and Jewish and like please don't kill me.
Oh, I'm
What
sorry.
did Dick Gregory say? About Sammy Davis? We just got a
Oh,
Dick Gregory final.
so we were
Really funny.
listening to African American comedian Dick Gregory, and he was talking to Sammy Davis, who actually ended up converting to Judaism way back in the day.
I was raised Christian and like practicing Catholicism.
Can I
low-key.
finish this story?
But yeah, I like Judaism.
So
That was the end.
his joke was, "Oh, why do you want to be segregated twice?"
Honestly, yeah.
But actually, because so Dick
I
Gregory,
feel that.
this is the album
Yeah.
we were listening to,
I
and
think we talked about this when we talked about our mutual passion for vinyl.
oh, we just got it actually.
Yeah, because that was
Yeah.
we like got together after you got this.
Oh, we hadn't listened to it yet, so we didn't know what he was talking about, and he has so many jokes about segregation, and because he was
He lived it.
writing these jokes right
is
after
It is fairly recent.
after Jim Crow happened. He was writing these jokes right after all of the Jim Crow laws were abolished, and so
Yeah.
he's talking about like, why do all of these black families want to go to the swimming pool? They don't even know how to swim.
Oh my
which is
God.
funny when he says it and anyone
And
else
we
says it, and you're
cannot
like,
say it.
"Oof,
You're like,
no."
damn, that's a little harsh.
And
Well, yeah.
going down to Mississippi and eating in a restaurant and being told by white supremacists that anything he does to the chicken he just ordered, they're gonna do to him. Like,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
And so he
Oh.
has these, and he's talking about it in the joke. He has these giant white men come up to him and they're like, "We told you anything you do to the chicken, you will do to you." And so he looks at them, grabs a chicken leg and kisses it, and he's like, "What you gonna do?"
Today on homophobia.
hmm
I know, that's...
He's hitting on everything, and a lot of it, I'm like, am I allowed to laugh at this in our society? But
That's the
yeah.
fun thing about being like Polish and Jewish is that like the Poles, it was like, so my ancestors moved because the Holocaust, and Poland was the first country, and like, and I'm Jewish, so it's like, okay, so my ancestors for sure moved because of the Holocaust.
Yeah, 100.
So that's always interesting, and it's like, if my like mom's side of the family was still alive, and if my dad's side, because I'm Jewish on his side too, and Polish.
You got double Jews.
Or mostly Polish, but like
Are you Ashkenazi Jewish, or you don't know because you didn't do the test?
I didn't do the
Okay.
test. I should do the test. The one on the right. My right, your left. Yeah. I just made a decision.
It's fine.
But no, it's so doing that and like it's like okay, like I mean like we have accounts of ancestors that were like literally going through
I mean,
fleeing from that, and so that's why my family's from Michigan because Michigan is super Polish. Like I remember going
Yeah.
to I think technically my great aunts, but my mom's aunt Jerry, which is funny.
cute.
Remember
Hey,
back
Francis.
when we went to the event?
Okay, we can talk about that later.
But
You're
no,
not on mic. That's the problem.
but in Michigan it was like I remember like we got like pierogies and Polish food from a corner store. It was like a gas station. You know how like so gas stations around here like you can get
we have burritos and
yeah, but like gas stations in Michigan, you can get Polish food. And that was like,
Mhm.
and there's only like one Polish festival in California, and there's one in SoCal and there's one in NorCal, and it's like once a year. And it's definitely, I think the NorCal one hasn't been in existence for a while. And that was like, but when I was younger and we went to Michigan more, it was like we would get Polish food at the corner.
Smells good.
We'd get Polish food at the corner street, and
Yeah, it
that was
smells good.
like our thing. But like, so like super Polish and growing up, like, so I feel like I'm about 50% Polish because both of my parents were about 50% Polish.
Well, so I'm not Polish. We had a lot of family back and forth about it because probably about
Because of the nice
7 years ago. Oh, it's a Russian River Pinot.
I'm biased.
Yeah. About 7 years ago, my maternal cousin, Aubrey, shout out Aubrey, hey girl. She did a deep dive on our
Into
ancestry because we heard so many back and forths
Mm-hmm.
from our mom and grandma,
You learn a lot from stories, but also from like DNA.
and so we always heard that our family was German, German
You
Jews,
killed my family.
no, German Jews,
Okay, that's fine.
and
Just
we
kidding.
we
but-
moved.
Nazi Germany.
So my great grandparents
Mhm.
moved from Germany in 1890.
Okay.
So they were already being
It's weird
persecuted.
to think about a time between, like, before.
It was even before World War One. So
Whew.
they were already being persecuted.
Jews were persecuted
So-
super early.
Aubrey traced them back from moving here to living in a Polish ghetto
Oh, that's
for Jews. And
crazy.
so she was like, we might not even be German, we might be Polish.
Hey,
Not, we're Jewish. Or no,
we're
Jewish,
German.
German.
You're German.
Yeah. So what?
Well, but it's hard. It's hard because like German Jews were the first to go. Because at
Yes.
least with So Poland was the first country they conquered, but
Mhm.
like Germany
Germany,
cleaned house before.
they sure
But
did for a long time.
We have to shout out Germany now, because Germany now is very much like
Merkel.
they're great now.
Merkel's my girl. But so, Nate and I were talking on our podcast about the protests that are happening all over the world.
They are.
And they happened in Germany. And at first I was disappointed. And then I thought, when was the last time their government fully told them to do something? Maybe
Hitler?
they should. Exactly. Maybe they have a right to think about.
It's good. It is good that they are protesting, because I mean, like, in that sense, it's like the German people. It's nice because the German people have, first of all, they've owned their history. Like, if you're German and like
It's illegal to have a Nazi flag.
and they're very much like, our ancestors did this and this was
And
wrong.
they sucked.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's super important, because like
It's
that's something
so
that doesn't
different
happen
than our
here.
history. We have
in
people who are
America.
freaking proud.
That they like, yeah, of their lineage. They're like, we're purebred whites, but like
Oh, it's so
Mm.
great that my
ancestors had slaves.
third grandparent fought for his right to own people.
That's something that, but I think the best part of Germany is like they acknowledge their history too, because they're like, we did this, but like this is why we're bigger than that, and
Which
that's where I
is
think
why they're
America's
also-
failing.
Well, Germany is also at like the forefront of freedom fighters for ending slavery and sex trafficking. because-
They're a wonderful country.
And I agree. I was there for 3 months when I was 13, and it was magical. I talk about it often.
It does make sense that they're protesting because of that, because like it is like the last time that they had the
I'm
government in
given-
total control
Yeah.
was Hitler.
I'm giving them a slide because of that. I feel like America is throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, because like we really haven't had that. My parents' stance on this is that Americans have always been like we're America and we have like our
Mhm.
rights, and that's always been our thing, and that's why the protests are
Which
happening
is
here.
Great.
Which like
I
yeah,
love having the rights. I love being a free person generally.
yeah, but also like at this point it is like more about like safety, and not like
Yes.
like if you or me potentially, if we got Rona, like we
The
would probably Miss Rona, we would probably be okay, but like it is the people that
Well, isn't it Mr. Rona?
No, I
Because
call
he.
Miss Rona.
Well, does Miss Rona enter your body without permission?
Fair. But no, that is definitely the thing, is that like I don't know, like Americans have always been super Americans are always Americans.
We're spoiled.
Yeah, and we have our rights and we are used to it, and that's like a thing, but this is like
So-
the one thing that I'm like, okay, this is like dangerous. There's a reason that the Constitution has that in it. Like
Well-
so I kind of lean right. I kind of lean conservative, and I
I definitely
get this.
lean left, and we're gonna.
We'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah, no. My thing is that since Nate does listen to like the Joe Rogan specifically, so I get to hear a lot of different. Oh, Francis!
Podcast.
Oh, it's our first guest. It's Francis. Oh, he's gone. Okay.
He left us so quick.
So
He said no.
I listen to different points of view.
Yeah. That's
And
important to be informed, though, is to listen to
so-
multiple different perspectives.
A big thing Joe has been saying is that, well, first of all, he's calling out the younger generation, being like, they're just so spoiled and they haven't had to deal with hardship. I have
This is it.
to say bullshit about that. We are used to,
Well, I was born before
gratification.
9/11, so
oh, yeah.
that also, if you were
But-
born after 9/11, then I think that might be accurate. But like,
We-
also now you're getting it.
My thing is, we do get a lot of instant gratification on the things that we want, and I understand that. But you also have to look at the people who are protesting, and they are Joe Rogan's age. So it's not.
It's not usually the younger.
They are
generation, per
also
se.
used to instant gratification at this point, even more so I
well,
know.
because it like we grew up with
So-
it and we're like this doesn't always happen, but like the people who like
Well-
didn't grow up and then got it were like this is how it should be all the time.
Yes, specifically, I have
Gen X, we're
known
calling you out.
I've known older people, more boomer age, who are now used to getting things right now when
Yeah.
they sign up for Amazon Prime and they don't get their package in 2 days and throw a fucking shit fit.
Okay, but also I was like, oh, a week, that's crazy that the world has been thrown off that much, and that was
Yeah.
my thought on that.
But then you also thought about that and went, that's silly.
I was like, wow, it's Amazon Prime went from 2 weeks to like we'll get it to you in a week.
And you mean 2 days?
2 days
Yeah.
to it was like 2 days to a week, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh damn. But then I was like, but then I thought about it and I was like, oh, that's where the world is right now.
Yes.
I mean, everyone like across the globe is in
Well,
pause right now.
So I have two ends of the spectrum that I'm regularly talking to. Both women I love and care about. I really have to say that at the front of this, my sister and my mother. My sister
Jordan.
has been in... neither of them are going to watch this.
That's how I feel about my family, but I'm also
Right?
if you are my family,
I
if you
gotta
made
shout
it
it
this
out.
far,
I love
stop
them.
watching.
You're amazing. My sister...
That's why I don't do this.
My sister has been staying at home for the past 2 months because she...
My sister's 15.
Well, my sister got a lung infection before COVID.
We have talked about your sister.
Yes, before COVID fully broke out, and so she was already isolating when the stay-at-home order went into effect in
No.
Seattle, and so she's been.
She lives in Washington.
Yes,
It's like the worst over there.
she's 10 miles
It's-
out of Seattle.
It's Seattle, Denver, and New
Mhm.
York are the hot spots, and San Francisco.
I know.
That's crazy.
Oh, I have a line to it. So
That sucks.
my sister has been very much, hey, it gets me when it gets me, but also if I go out, I might infect someone because she wasn't tested for COVID,
But she knows that she's probably.
but she knows she probably had it
Mhm.
because she only ever had phone appointments.
Mm.
And this was
Totally.
before we found out about even more of the symptoms. And so her
Well,
her
yeah.
symptoms built up, and she probably had it. She was very sick for a while.
I think that I had it. Like honestly, like as more of the symptoms get released,
I'm actually
like, oh.
positive that I had it because both Nate and I got very, very sick
Like the I can't
in
breathe. sick.
February.
My teeth were like chattering.
He had a
I took time off of school.
he had
and
a
I don't do
decently
that.
high fever. He got up to 102.5.
I was one
and
or
if-
two.
Yeah, if he went up another half degree, I was gonna take him to the hospital, and luckily he went down.
It just depends on where.
I
you are.
lost my sense of smell and taste, which is a huge indicator.
I've never lost time. Like I've never been like I'm so drunk that I didn't remember X or like there's never been some time
Oh.
that
I didn't say time. I said
No.
smell or taste.
no, but
Woo!
like when I was fevering, there are a couple days that I don't remember.
Oh shit!
I have a vague recollection of making
were-
food, and that's it.
Whoa.
Because I would like get up and I would eat and I would go to the bathroom and I would go back to sleep and that would be it. So I mean, and my parents have said like, oh, like, because I called them and I was like, I'm so sick that I don't know what to do with this because I've been sick before, like
Well, it's
since
so
I moved out.
scary to be
I was so sick. I
have
was
a
so
really
sick.
bad flu when you live alone. It's the scariest thing I personally have
I
ever
couldn't-
experienced, except for like car
Yeah,
accidents and
I
shit.
couldn't see straight. It was
Yeah.
so bad that like they told me they were like when you first got it because I had called them and
Mhm.
I went to the ER. It was that bad that I was sick for a week. I took a week off of school and then I went to the ER and they told me to take 2 weeks off because I was so bad. And
They were also basically telling you to stay at home for 2 weeks.
they were like you have the Rona. But yeah, they they were like we don't want to tell you but no, when my parents had said, like, when you got that flu, like, we were like, she probably has coronavirus. And because it's lucky that I'm young and that, like, I have, even though, like, I have a bad,
Oh,
I have
if you
bad
invite
lungs.
her up, she's gonna scratch your legs. So either pick her up, just scruff her. There you go.
Yeah, so little. Hi, Miss B.
Because she is Velcro claws. Hey,
do
welcome
her-
Miss Baby to the podcast.
But no, yeah, they were like, we think you have corona because I was so sick when I got sick that it was, and all the symptoms that, the more they come out with symptoms, the more it's like, oh, I definitely did have,
That's
which is nice because,
how I feel as well.
yeah, there's a lot of people who got really, really sick, and I think that in this season who don't usually get sick, I've had a
I don't
really
get
bad flu
sick.
once, and that was like, I don't, exactly.
So,
Like, I have a sneeze, and that's it.
if you haven't watched and or listened to my other podcast, Thinks and Drinks with my husband, we talk a lot about how he has an autoimmune disease. And so he gets sick a lot, unfortunately, because, yep, there's his thumb and his hand. It's the shark. He is immunocompromised. And so we tend to be pretty careful about it. I do take care of 3 children generally on a daily basis.
And when they released, like, I have really bad asthma, and so when they were
Same.
like, oh, like, if you have asthma, like, that's compromised, that was like, oh, like,
Because
I
it
do,
attacks your lungs.
and I have to be, and now it's like, okay, so my lungs are already compromised.
Yep.
And so if I get corona, that's like, that's it.
Oh, the last time I had
That's why I'm afraid of it. Like, people are like, oh, you shouldn't be because you're young, and I'm like, but also,
the last time,
This baby is so totally a shirt, you guys.
so cute. I love it.
I love this baby.
The last time I had a general checkup, which was 4 or 5 years ago, my general practitioner was so concerned about my lung function, they sent me to an allergist.
I should do that though.
I did not actually get the allergy testing that day because I was also getting caught up on my other vaccines, and it would have been a
would've
problem.
messed
So
up,
I
yeah.
never got allergy tested. I've had allergies my whole life. I've had asthma since I was, I want to say 13, but my general practitioner that day tested my lung function and told me I was only at 85% capacity.
It's when they tell you stuff like that, like, that's scary because you're like, oh, I
Yep.
shouldn't be alive.
And right, and
Crazy.
at that time, like, I was living with a roommate. I had no one.
If people know vacuum too,
Like,
that's always
I-
like,
I was living with my best friend at the time who has the worst case of asthma I have ever heard of. Her lung function is at 75%.
ooh, no,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
She also had like growing things when she was growing up, so
That makes more sense.
yes. For me, as a normal, healthy adult, 85% is not normal, and I still cannot take a full deep breath currently without having to, like, take some more inhales.
Yeah, same.
I try to do yoga, and they're like,
Take a deep breath. and
take
you're
a
like,
deep breath for 5 seconds, and I'm like,
You're like, I'm trying. Yeah, no, that's a big deal because I mean, like, so much of, especially with like anxiety and like that sort of thing,
oh,
is
and that's
taking
such a
deep
big,
breaths,
yes.
and you're like, but I physically
We've talked about that.
cannot.
And that freaks you out even more when you're
Because
having
you're
an
like,
attack.
Wait, I can't even breathe.
Honestly, the only thing that helps me take a deep breath during an anxiety attack is taking a hit off of my inhaler. I don't know if it's the steroid or the placebo of like, here is your medicine, you're fine. I think it's both.
Well, I think at
Yeah.
first, it's a steroid, and then after that, you're like, okay,
The medicine did its job.
I think it depends on like the leveling of anxiety too.
Well, it's also the like ritual of taking, oh, I have my medicine, I'm fine now.
I don't know.
And
It's been
rituals are a big thing when you have anxiety. Like, you need to have your ritual to calm down.
That's very much a thing with like any sort of mental effect. I don't like calling it illness because I feel like that sounds like there's something wrong with you. When there's not,
I
like so many
mean,
people suffer with that.
As someone who has like chronic illnesses, including asthma and allergies, it's just like, hey,
Add another one to the stack.
being sick is not something to be ashamed of. Like, you're sick.
You're sick.
But
It happens in capitalist society, today's society.
No, I get what you're talking about. Like, being sick is something to be ashamed of.
That's always been my thing. So I have PTSD and depression and anxiety. And that's always been something where I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to say like, oh, I'm having a hard time because of having this. Yeah, I don't care about talking about that.
That's a good one to close on.
Yeah, but it's rough to have like a sort of like mental quote unquote
I think we need to
illness.
have like a full mental health
day.
awareness episode.
We probably should.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's like as someone who has that.
It's
like,
life. It's everyday
rough.
life.
It is everyday life, and that's hard when you have that sort of thing going on.
How much you look like Axl Rose right now.
Do I look like Axl Rose? Hey.
I've been wanting to say it for 2
Hey,
hours now.
you know,
Hey,
didn't
what's
he have
good?
his own dating show? You can have your own dating show.
Does anyone want to date me? I'm actually,
Yeah.
I'm all like, oh, I'm a fuckboy, but like also
That's a
like
good
date
show.
me.
Well, that's all dating shows.
Oh my god, that's true.
I mean, if you think about the dating shows from the mid-aughts,
All I need to say
it
is
was
that
all fuckboys.
we need to have a queer dating show because
That's not Tila Tequila.
can you imagine? Well, yeah, but like also having like having a lesbian dating show. First of all, the
Whoa.
drama, you wouldn't have to spark drama; it would just be there, and it does sell itself. And like for hot women, like
Well, I
that's
think
all I
about
have to say. Just like
take-
start a lesbian.
so it
show.
was Take a Shot.
lesbian bachelorette.
Take a Shot with Tila Tequila. That was her show, and it was. I remember feeling
Well-
like a bisexual show. Oh my!
The L word. Did you watch
God.
the L word?
Of course I did. Oh my God, we.
Gen
Again.
Q is actually. I feel like it's actually decent.
Oh, I
except for-
loved it.
Shane has always been a thing for me.
Oh.
Catherine.
Shane has been a thing for every gay girl.
Shane is just
100.
please.
Again, we have so much more to talk about. Stay tuned.
Yeah, please stay tuned if you liked our stuff,
Right?
or if you didn't. Like, there will be better.
Plug all the things.
How can
Our
people
Instagram
follow you?
is my Instagram
Yeah.
at Rhiannon Rainbow, or at
Our-
Rio Like the Bird.
At
At Rio Like the Bird is probably gonna be the one.
hey,
At Rio Like the Bird, at on Twitter at Rhiannon Lama, at Two Girls One Gay Pod is our Instagram and our Twitter.
yes. Two Girls One Gay Pod is both our Instagram and Twitter, and you
Yeah.
can also email us at
Two Girls, One
twogirls1gay pod@gmail.com if you have any questions or requests.
Honestly,
Please don't spam us.
I mean, we'll answer questions on the podcast. I
Yeah.
feel. So like, yeah, please.
Yeah, if you need any advice or if you just want to chat with us,
I'll teach you how to be a lesbian.
and I'll
like,
teach you how to do everything else.
or how to be a fuckboy, honestly.
You can also follow me at Jordann Jordann Channing CHANNING on Instagram and Twitter.
She said no. She said no, husband.
And
This is my
so
podcast.
Nate wants to say something.
Thanks for everybody for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. Definitely keep up with these ladies. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
We're pretty cool.
And I'm gonna be the audio engineer and video engineer for it. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Or whenever you're listening to it. have a
this
good
has been a good intro.
Also, if you like Nate's excerpts, you can listen to us at Thinks and
Nerd-
Drinks
Hey!
Pod. Or if you just
at
like
Nerd and
Nate
Learning.
and you don't want to hear any ladies, you can
At
listen to
Nerd and
him
Learning and learning.
on the Nerdin' and Learning podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
This has been Two Girls, One Gay.
That's a great first episode. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.